Boom! Friday night, 9:23 p.m. This has got to be almost a record. Hope everybody is well. Gosh, gotta clear my throat. We pushed it to 9 o'clock tonight, and mine and Tiff's Uber Eats were a little late, so we are running a bit late, guys. But you know what it is. If you're around, you'll tune in. If not, you'll watch it later, mate. What's up? Oh, you need that? Oh, you know the drill. So, I'm not even going to fluff around. We're just going to get straight down to business. This is episode 27. Look at that, 27. All right. What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 27 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast, Adjunct series, quarantine edition. That is 1 week over 6 months. That is bonkers, or at least half a year. Doesn't really feel like half a year, eh? Like, done this shit. Wild. Crazy. Bonkers. So, this evening, I have a good friend of mine who you guys will know well from the previous seasons, as well. He has been on the Adjunct series, the first returning guest. There's no one more I would love to have on here. Noah Forrest from Beerism. You bloody legend. How you doing, mate? Mate, I'm happy now I've got your face in my screen, huh? Good to see you, man. Yours is obviously a winning. I trimmed mine down recently, and yours is just glorious. Oh, so it is there. Oh, it's got a nice little angle. I like the angle. Ooh. Oh, did I mute? No, fuck. You know what I'm going to do? For the sake of the audio, I'm going to redo it. Because it's just for the audio. I fucked up the audio. So, but it's okay. I'm going to keep it live. Don't worry about it. So I'll do it real quick. I choked. I pressed mute and I made sure it wasn't. This has fucked me up every episode. I think I stopped muting people. Yeah, it's pissing me off. What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 27 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast, Adjunct series, quarantine edition. Mate, it's been more than half a year. Absolutely bonkers doing this. So this evening, you guys may know this individual if you have been watching us or listening to us. This is the first returning guest on the new Adjunct series that we've been doing. Noah Forrest, what's going on, brother?
Not much, yourself?
Very, very good. This is our second introduction because I had it accidentally muted. We don't have to repeat what we just fucking said, but we were saying our beards are lovely and your beard is exceptionally angular.
Yeah, it's got like a good thing going right now.
I like it. It's like, no, the barber's real serious, and they're like, oh. I like that, you know?
He's got his thing out and he's going.
Yeah, it's good. It's solid. I like it. Man, good to see your face. We talk every day, but we don't get to actually hang.
I know, it's all chat.
It's all just like tippity typing. And you know the funny thing is, every time I speak to you, it always kind of throws me off because we're such assholes to each other, like all of us, all day. And then I speak to you, I'm like, oh yeah, I love this guy. Like, why are we always mean to each other?
It's not weird for me because I see your face constantly and you're constantly talking at me in some video or something. So
you're used to it.
So accustomed to everything, Craig.
Look, I can't be mad at that. I just need you to.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just I'm used.
I respect it. I need more Noah is what I'm saying. I don't know why. I don't know why your face isn't.
I need a vlog or some sort of thing like that.
I feel like you could do a similar type of thing. You have a lot to say. You know what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. I've thought a bit about it.
I feel like I could talk you into it by the end of the episode. How about that?
Let's do it.
All right. So the reason we're doing this evening, you're going to be co-hosting two podcasts that we have coming up in the next few weeks, which is super exciting because you've also co-hosted. How many were you before?
2 or 3, maybe.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure because these two that we're going to be doing are people that you introduced me to in the first place anyway, so that makes it extra.
That's true.
Connected, and I always find it's a dope tag team on our side because you ask questions, because you have knowledge of these guys that I would, Jesus Christ, fizzy water, man. I haven't even had a beer yet. That I would never ask because I don't know them in the way that you do. So it's really cool. So I'm really much looking forward to that. So we thought, you know what, since the one got postponed that we were supposed to do together tonight, I forgot to tell you, the beer never arrived.
Wow.
So it wouldn't have happened regardless. Because the guest had to postpone till next week, but the beer, now when we do the podcast, you guys might have noticed that I always make sure that we have the beer this side that, if we're interviewing, it just kind of like feels weird if and I've done it before, where you're interviewing them and drinking something else, which is cool if they're in Australia or some shit, but otherwise you know, it's
You want it to be. You want to be able to talk about what you're consuming and speak to it and comment on it in some
yeah,
capacity.
because we're promoting them and their products, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's really hard to sort of talk about what they're doing and stuff if I'm not sitting there drinking it either, right? So, this evening, the best part about this is we have all the beers we both happen to have. We went through our fridges and we've got some. We got a fantastic.
Have too much beer, so sometimes it works out.
You and I have a large problem. I feel like we flex on the boys in our group too much, and just like, look at this, we just
Probably.
got. Also, they're probably like, fuck these guys, man. Like, but then,
well, it's pretty tongue in cheek.
Yeah, we are.
Hopefully,
joking.
they get that.
No, they know. So the first one, you guys saw the name of the episode I put. We might not keep it, but I put Yawn Boys for now because that's a little. You know, people know Haze Boys as the people who are all hype boys or whatever. Me and Nate from Nathan Does Beer, who's also our blog writer here at BAOS, shouts to Nate, he's a legend. Him and I started calling, I think I came up with it because I kept saying the beers that you and Chris from Hops and Bros are into were yawn beers to me because they're boring. Like, you guys like barley wine. I mean, obviously they're not bad and obviously it's tongue-in-cheek, but there are styles I'm not preferential to. Barley wines, fucking, what else is the stuff that you like that I make fun of? Shit that we're about to.
I think the thing that you like to be on the most is like saisons and stuff.
Oh yeah, the farmhouse and stuff. I kind of like that stuff now, though.
Exactly. I think our whole thing is falling apart.
And you've been drinking more lactose than ever. So I mean, like, I don't even. Who are we anymore? So one of the biggest. I've always liked this style, but just because you like it so much, I just rag on it. Is gueuze. So we both happen to get multiple bottles of Fonteinen Oude Geuze from the SAQ did a recent sale, and I actually tried this with you guys, Derek and Matt from Vox and Hops.
Oh, that's true. But you've also had it before that too, I think. No.
Oh, do you know where I had it? I had it in Australia with my cousin. Yeah,
I could have sworn I saw you with a picture holding up a bottle of Fonteinen with a friend or something at some point.
It was in my cousin Dan.
Tilken, though. Maybe I got mixed up. I don't know.
Well, I had Tilken sometime recently as well, and I had some of the stuff at what's the festival we went to? Help me out here. The best Food. At Food they had the I missed out on the Cantillon because everyone went right there, and I was like, "Fuck that! I'm going to other half and shit." But I came back after, and I got the Dre Fontaine, and I can't remember what I got, but I got some stuff, so I was totally happy. But when they had the sale, I was pretty stoked. I am not an early bird, so you got the fire, I got the leftovers, but I still managed to get 5 or 6 bottles of stuff, so I'm really not complaining.
Do you want to crack it open and talk about it?
Yeah, let's crack it open. So this is
these things sometimes like.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Roof.
All right. Let's find out.
How was that? You've met my friend Derek.
I have.
You've been to his house. I was there once, and we were popping a Drifon, and I think it was a creek or something, and it popped so hard that it flew like 20 feet and hit the baby's high chair right where its head would have been. It was in the house. Like, bah!
Boom!
It was crazy.
Get to the little bastard. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. No, so it's probably like, now I'm gonna be like shook. That was good. I was not exploding over either. Nice.
Yeah, they don't usually gush.
Oh,
but the pressure sometimes really makes them boom.
You know what? We were talking about this when we were planning it earlier. Talk me through the pouring process because I know it's a bit more of a thing, and we got to make sure that I made a rookie mistake recently with a Durank that I poured, and my friend gave me shit because it was hazy. He's like, "What'd you do? Did you pour all this shit in?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what you do." When I was so used to drinking haze, I didn't think. So with these ones,
so in bottle in beers that are fermented in the bottle, you often don't want the sediment. It's same goes for like Fonteinen or like Trappist beers too, right? You usually try and avoid putting the sediment in. But for lambic, it's particularly frowned upon because you don't want to alter the taste of the beer. That's why they have lambic baskets, which I'm sure
I've seen those. I never really understood the kind of purpose behind all of that.
The idea is that even I screwed it up.
Right.
Here.
I can't.
The idea is keeping the sediment at the bottom the entire time, so that like when you're pouring it out, you're getting everything but the sediment on the bottom.
Right, and the sediment is like for the people who aren't yawn boys typically, um, like for the haze people, they're like, yeah, that's what literally the yeast is where the haze is, right? So like you always make sure you save an inch, swirl that, and pour it in. With this, it's literally the opposite. I watched the video because my friend who gave me shit about it, Tim, he sent me a video. I believe it was the brewmaster of Joe Fonteinen who actually did a video on how to pour it. So it was supposed to be, I don't know if you've ever seen this shit before, you're supposed to pour out the first sip and then pour the glasses in one continuous motion. So say you got the 750 and you got to do it and then spill it even more and then leave the bit in there, and he put it in a different glass and then you can drink it if you want later.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it still tastes good, but it really does alter the whole beer if you don't do it properly. But I mean, it's kind of a funny thing with me because I'd say lambic is my favorite beer style, if you want to call it a style. But I don't get much of it, so I don't have a particularly acquired lambic palate because it's too hard to get. Like I've had enough of like mid-tier lambic, but it's not like other beer styles where you can relatively easily get like a huge range and then develop like a palate for it. I've tasted some of the most incredible lambic, but not like enough that I can really distinguish. We were talking a bit earlier about, this is the Oude Geuze, and they also at the SAQ sale had Armand and Tommy, which is a different blend. It's a price bottle. It's almost double the price. I think I've had them side by side, and there are subtle differences, but I'm not quite there yet. I'd like to be at some point. But
you did quite well in the blind challenge we did where we drank 13 different gueuze, which I vomited aggressively that evening. I've never vomited like that in my life. But it was a lot. First of all, brother, great to see your face. Cheers. Oh, we're gonna talk about the glassware soon. These are great. All right, what do we? Maybe we'll just do. We'll go through a quick tasting notes on this shit, and then we can talk about sort of the specifics with this one. I'd like to actually ask, because you said about mid-tier, I'd like to know, is this top tier good? I have no fucking clue, so we could go through all that. On the nose, it's like, kind of like green apples.
Yeah, you definitely get some of that green apple thing. There's so much of that dusty funk. I always think like old books. Like when you go to a basement, like your grandma's basement, where there's just too much humidity down there, and it just has that musty old smell. People often call it barnyard or horse blanket. But then you get the fruity side of it, right? That's what makes it so interesting is that like when you get this intense grapefruit thing, but it's not like grapefruit you get from hops. It's more like, and that's what's interesting about beer too, is like when you get a certain fruitiness out of it, but I feel like with one style you can get part of that fruit, and then another style you can get the other part of that fruit. Like I get like, if you took a grapefruit and just bit into it through the skin, and you'd get that like sharp kind of tannic, tart, like bitter thing. I find you get that
bitter. Yeah, I feel like it's almost like vinegar vibes with it. It's very unless I'm just adjusting, potentially. It's my first beer, but
usually most lambic you won't get any of that acetic. You won't get acetic acid. I don't get that in this one. You get the lacto acidity.
Okay.
But you get more vinegar in things like Flanders Reds and other barrel aged sours.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't like much acetic acid in my beers. Flanders, it's fine because it's kind of part of what it is. But whenever someone releases a barrel aged sour and it's got that acetic thing, I'm always like, I wish it wasn't there.
Yeah, no, I totally.
A lot of Quebec breweries do it too.
I had something last night that was so. Oh, it was the fourth Rouge de Mechanac one, the La Barberie collab. Fucking, my teeth were hurting after that. I couldn't believe how sour that was.
Some of those are aggressive.
Yo, they were
They're good though.
intense. Oh, the
I'll
dude,
say.
like Flanders is one of my favorite styles. I cannot believe how much I love Flanders Reds now. It's ridiculous. I used to hate them. Now I'm about it. So is this? Oh, the bottles here, just so people know. So the Oude Geuze is a blend of 1, 2, and 3-year-old lambics and bottle fermented, unfiltered, and unpasteurized. Hence the, like you were saying before, all the sediment and stuff. And this specific one, I think we both have. I love it on the cork. Oh, you probably can't even see it, but it's got the year. It's blend 10 from the season 18-19. And it even says down here, this particular Oude Geuze has been blended with lambics from 6 different barrels and originating from 10 different brews. Average age while bottling is 22 months and 30% 3-year-old, 47% 2-year-old, and 23% young. I don't know, it's so interesting to me now.
So for cool, people who don't know, lambic is generally always blended.
Right.
It is spontaneously fermented, meaning they don't pitch yeast to make the beer.
Okay.
What they do is they brew it and then they cool it down in what's called a cool ship, which is basically like a giant pan in a room. And so all the existing bacteria and yeast that lives in the facility ends up fermenting the yeast. Fermenting the wort, meaning the beer. And then it's aged in oak barrels, and then when a gueuze is a blend of different years, so that you have like all these different barrels.
So lambic is the base. Lambics are the. Sorry to interrupt. Lambics are the base. The base beer.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well,
that's what it says here. You're right, because I always thought the gueuze and you added fruit and then it became a lambic, but it's the other way around.
No, lambic is kind of like it's like saying compared to like saying lager or something. Like there's different kinds of lager.
Oh,
there's different kinds of you know.
So it's an overarching style, and then there's a sub. Okay.
Exactly. So lambic has to come from a small region in Belgium, or else it's not lambic. There are breweries who do similar things.
They usually say lambic inspired, don't they? Or lambic style, or gueuze style.
I mean, it's not like it's not a legal thing.
So it's like a respect thing.
Yeah, it's like champagne, but it's not legal. I don't think it's illegal to put beers or lambic on your product.
No. Quick side note on that: some breweries are refusing to call their beers pilsners now if they're not brewed in Pilsen. I don't know if you talked about it, but Godspeed are only calling a Czech-inspired pale lager. They call them.
I think I saw that and I wasn't sure why, but that's why. Sense.
Yeah, because there's been like I was gonna say exodus is not the word, but a shit ton of brewers, just from Ontario and Quebec over the last 2 years, who have done these pilgrimages to. They're not even really going to Belgium. They're going to Germany and the Czech Republic, and I think that's why we've seen an influx of the pilsners and stuff. And a couple of them, Godspeed were the first one I saw to do it. I swear I've seen. I think even Dominion City in Ottawa do it too. Say pale lager, they just won't call it a pils. Same as soda, so they always had a pale lager, they called it. I always thought it was weird. I was like, what the fuck is a pale lager? It was like, it weirded me out all the time, but now it makes complete sense. So that's just, I think it's trying to equate that to this. Like, and who did I have the other night? There was a good style ale. It was something really good. Or I had something else. I can't remember what it was. It's a big one with some shit. Oh, was it something from Rattlebuck? Whatever. It was something good, and they called it a gueuze inspired or gueuze style. So continue. Sorry, I just want to let people know the same type of shit.
That makes sense.
So lambic is the base. It's an overarching style, but they make different types of lambics, and they age them for different times, and it becomes a gueuze. How? After it's spontaneously fermented.
So a gueuze is basically blended lambic. So
okay, you
have all these oak barrels of different years.
Oaky.
And then
that's what I'm getting here. Good on.
What's that, sorry?
I'm getting oaky vibes in this. I totally forgot.
Oh, for sure. And so a lambic is usually a blend. A gueuze is usually a blend of 1, 2, and 3-year-old lambic.
Okay.
And they basically just shift the ratios to make kind of the perfect blend, and then that's essentially what a gueuze is. And then for the fruited lambics, like whether it's raspberry or cherries or creeks or whatever, it's the same deal with cherries added. I'm not sure if it's always a blend of 1 and 2 and 3-year-old lambic with the addition of cherries, or I don't know if it always has to be that 3 thing, but essentially it still ends up being a blend as far as I understand.
Okay, because I ended up getting a bottle of the Armand & Gaston one we were talking about earlier, and I got the fucking cherry, the Creek. So I guess I can check the bottle, but I didn't realize it's basically the same base as this, but then aged on cherries for an additional time, or maybe instead, because it said it's got the 1, 2, and 3-year old lambics that are blended. I wonder when they introduce the cherries, because that shit is like it's deep colored. It's not like a quick thing.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just thrown in.
I'm assuming it's the barrels. I should know the answer to this, but
okay.
I'm assuming it's in the barrels as well.
Cool.
I would drink the Creek. You don't need to drink it right away. You could sit on it for 10 years if you felt like it. But if you're going to drink one soon, drink the Creek. I heard Armand and is it Armand and Gaston or Armand de Tarn? Now
I always thought it was Gaston, but like more than me, I will absolutely defer.
Yeah, I just get them mixed up, and one's like ultra rare, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Take a look. Keep talking. I'll look while you're talking.
But that one I heard does better with a bit more time on it if you want to hold on to it.
Okay. So I've had the OG of this somewhere before, but now I've got the specific blend, so I was just checking into the specific blend as well, because I guess they're all probably got subtle differences. If you're a real nerd, you'll know the deal.
And the thing about lambic is it does age beautifully.
Armand & Gaston, it's called.
Like a lot of other beers you can sit on for a year or two. You might see some improvement with a barley wine or something like that, but there is something special about aged lambic. Like, I could tell right now this, and I haven't had one that's so young in a while, and you can kind of get that. There's like a sharpness to it that kind of sharp, slightly bitter, grapefruity thing gets more mellow and integrated a bit better over time.
Okay.
So this, like a year on it, you'll see a bit. You won't see a huge difference, unlike most beers, but you'll see it'll start mellowing out a bit.
Okay, that's good to know. So I guess I'll try that, because I would imagine, just like any other fruited beer, the fruit probably drops before anything else. So okay, that's good to know. I'm in no rush to drink them. I've got, just like you, I don't have your levels, but my shit's getting pretty ridiculous, so I'm more than happy to sit home for a while. But at the same token, when you mentioned this, because when we were trying to figure out what beers did we have that were the same, the fact that we both had this was sick. Like, this is perfect.
Yeah, it's great. Especially literally the same vintage year.
We got to be bought from the same thing. So it was good, because I don't know when I would have really busted it out, because it kind of feels like, not that anything's a special occasion beer that much, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a Tuesday, you'd be like, fuck it. I mean, you could, of course, because the amount that we have to go through, but we, being beer media people, we always have to prioritize content. And we were talking about this, I think, yesterday. Like, what the fuck, this is so much. It's like overwhelming sometimes. So like, this is a pleasure buy. Of course, we're both going to make content about these things.
Honestly, I don't always, because they were pleasure purchases.
Right.
Because I should promote the beers that I love the most.
Right.
But
this would get good engagement.
Not sometimes. Because it's like, oh, you know what? I ordered this just for me, and I want to just like sit and just
sip and
live in it. Not think about having to write anything or shoot anything or whatever.
It is nice for a change, right?
Yeah, and I do that a lot.
Yeah. That's good.
I recommended you do it, but I know you can't.
It's an OCD physically. It's an OCD thing. So I'm like, I have taken a lot of your suggestions on board, as far as maybe a brewery will send a batch and you just can't do content for everything, at least early on. I've been trying to be like, all right, well, at least do one thing for something. When people do it soon, then dribble it out, just for volume, and I don't have to do the rest. But I'm always, at the very least, going to do the selfie reviews, just because I want to keep those numbers going, because it's fun. But like, I always take pictures for BAOS just because like I need content, and I don't do a in-depth review like you do, which does take a lot more thinking. Most of my time is like
you do. And actually, I was going to ask you that question. I honestly have to ask you on here, but why not?
Why not?
I noticed you post the awesome photo on BAOS, but you never include the tasting notes that you do for yourself, and I was wondering why.
Because, I mean, maybe I should. I don't know. I guess it was like, it's supposed to sort of be like quick and snappy.
Yeah.
Because not everybody wants to read, and if they want to see, like every single beer you'll see on BAOS, unless it's a picture from my brother or Nate, I drank that beer. So you'll find that on my now it's at Get It In Your C, because I moved my beer stuff off my personal thing because of music, which is good because I got an EP drop on November 20th. Submitted it yesterday.
Saw that.
I'm excited. And I got a grant today. I haven't got a grant. I've been applying for like 2 years. I got like a music grant. It's fucking wow. It's not a lot of money, but it's a start. Like it's
something.
Fuck man, it means you're in the door, right? So yeah, I separated that. But yeah, so I figure if people if they want to see those things, they can go there. And I feel like and it's interesting the way that we all work so differently, but complementary. Because say like I find that BOS is always aimed at not the crowd that you're aiming at. I imagine yours is a more sophisticated beer drinker. The average person doesn't really want to read those like super in-depth, really well, written and expressed tasting notes. I find with BAOS they're more like, is it good? Okay, cool. Like the type of people we have are more like, not quite noobs, but like, not super lambic. We have those people too, but not as much as you. So I try and just put a few descriptors in and just keep it, like, I kind of let the photo do the talking. Or if I do the 1 minute reviews, I'll do my first off the top of my head impressions, which the funny part about that, say if I pop this bottle and I'm like doing it in front of the camera, I do you get one take to open these things. So I'll do it. And then afterwards, when I sit with it and write my review, I might even change what I said. No one's ever called me on it, but like I sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'll add additional things that I've had time, or I might contradict what I just said because now I'm sitting with it for 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's not what I got, because it's supposed to be a quick thing. So I think it's just who we're speaking to as an audience. One thing, I'll be honest, I said this to Tiff the other day, and this is a positive thing. You said the thing from Trailway where they said, can I say this publicly? Like he's just giving you props. Remember?
That's fine.
So
I was like, what are you talking about, Trail? And then I'm just clicked. Yeah.
No, because this is actually kind of funny because I've been thinking about this and it kind of like inspired me in a real good way, because it was Dan, right, from Trailway?
I'm not sure. I've been communicating with Dan via email, but that was on Instagram. I'm not sure if he does the Instagram or not. But it might be.
Might be. All right. So I just know Dan Mason, who's he's the head brewer, I think, and the co-founder. He said
he's the brewer too. Yeah,
I believe so.
I've been corresponding with him over email separately, and it's been interesting.
He's a great dude. Trailway's been really good to both of us, which is great. But Dan said to you that you have the best photos and the best beer descriptions in the game, and I was like yes, because that's fucking true, because you're the OG, and I was like, fuck, I gotta step my game up a little bit. And I found that, like, I think last night I did 4 1-minute reviews just throughout my drinking, and I tried a lot harder to use different words and to describe it a bit better, because I was like, you know what, maybe I do, because I like kind of just piggybacking what you were saying, why don't I include it and why don't I always talk like that? I felt like, all right, let me try a little harder. And it was cool to just maybe think a bit more, because Nate does the reviews for the blog, and he's a sort of like in your vein, the way that he writes, and he's really good, actually. Yeah, I don't think he's very good. Realize how good he is. I think he's been reading your stuff and listening.
I think what you're doing is great too.
It's a different way. But I think it's cool because
I've stolen things from you.
We both stole things from each other. Many things like we've stolen. I think that's
there's like fun little like
descriptors, like vibes.
Yeah, like silly things, but also just like there's a certain abruptness to it sometimes that you have, or like you'll just post a word like fire at the end. Like I try not to use that word because that's like so you, but you know what I mean, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've caught I catch myself doing it, and I'm like, okay, well, I know why I'm doing that, but then I'll just leave it in. I'm like,
yeah, leave it, because I see it. I'm like, yeah, I was like, oh, I hope that's because of me. That's awesome, because obviously we're friends, so it's, even if we weren't, and it was like different people that you've seen, we're all inspired by something, right? But I think that's kind of cool, and that's why I value the friendship with you guys, because we talk every day, and it's usually nonsense, but like watching each other's work. And when I say that, I guess talking about Nathan from Nathan Does Beer, Chris from Hops and Bros, Max from Hops and Bros is in there too, but he doesn't really participate, and then yourself. So we're all talking all the time, but we all pay attention. You know, I watch all Hops and Bros videos, I read all your posts and articles and shit, and obviously I read Nate's because I edit them. But it's cool because I think we're genuinely inspiring each other, and we take little things from each other. I've learned a lot from the way you describe stuff and the way you teach me about the more complicated stuff that I was sort of never really exposed to. I find that just like that's like a really cool thing about beer because we're all into different shit. You've been into it in a more hardcore way the longest from anyone I know, or know well at least, and also who's doing it at the level that you're doing it. So it's cool. It's nice, right? And it's cool to be like, yo, that's my fucking boy. Look at my boy killing it. You're killing it right now, man. I was telling Tiff. I was like, I'm loving seeing the... Do you want to talk about that stuff now? You're... Oh, do you want to go into your rebrand stuff, or do you want to talk about the SAQ shit we talked about earlier about how that works and how we got hold of these and stuff?
We'll talk about the SAQ stuff.
Let me knock that out the way.
Yeah, so as we were saying earlier, we got these beers from the SAQ, and it was an online sale, like, I don't know, 2 Tuesdays ago at like 10 a.m. And so this was, I could have my numbers wrong, but I think this was the third attempt to do a Cantillon online sale, and the first 2, I think, completely failed. From the
SAQ side.
Yeah, because the Quebec beer geeks broke their servers. And so for those who don't know, Cantillon is another lambic producer, and they're just so highly sought out. The hype is just through the roof with them. I mean, Drifon and what we're drinking now is equally respected, but there's just something about Cantillon that just people go nuts for.
What's the real quick? What's the rankings of like the most sought after? Maybe like the top 5, or what's top tier, mid tier, bottom tier? Just a couple in each, because I actually have no context.
I'd say Cantillon and Fonteinen are tend to be the ones that people really seek out. But there's some smaller ones that you see less of that people will seek out, but I've never even tried, like a Decam, like DE space CAM. They're very sought after, but I've never had anything from them. There's like you've had the Cuvée, René Cuvée. See, that's probably your best bang for your buck. Like, those go on sale at the SAQ, and they're like $6 a bottle
for the 375s.
Yeah. Because these are like what, 11, 12 that we paid for them.
Yeah, for this specific one, I think so. Yeah, and then I think the cherry was about the same. Might have been a little more. And
I think the cherry was closer to 20, and Armand and Gaston I think was like 22
for the 375.
The tiny one. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, I didn't even. I just got one of each. I was like, I just grabbed
like
one because I grabbed, like, you were like, I asked you guys because I got the email from SAQ. I was like, oh, sick, finally. And it said 10 a.m. I'm like, oh, that's not happening. And then you guys were like, don't even bother, it's going to be gone. I'm like, oh, it's that serious, eh? Okay. So I got up and I was like, let me just check it. And then they had, and I think you guys even messaged me, yo, if you guys want it, there's still some left. Because all the Cantillon was gone, but I managed to get 3 bottles of Dre, and I got some, what's that? Michaela, I think it was Michaela, had a...
Yeah, they did like, I think they...
It was a collab. It was a big collab
with the lambic producer,
which is exciting. And then I got another one called E9 or something. I just got the cherry one. They had a bunch of different ones. So either way, though, I was able to get it. I obviously wanted Cantillon, but I wasn't willing to get up early for it. And also, you said as well that there was a shit show.
There was me and like 4 other people on a group chat. All of us were hosed. You couldn't get through, and then you could get through and you could get it into your cart, but then you couldn't go from there. So after about 30-40 minutes, all of a sudden, I think once all the Cantillon had sold out, then you were able to go in. So I was like at around 11, I was able to go in and order some of these bottles, and then I actually ended up doing 2 orders because I just went back and just did more. I had to pay for the shipping twice, which is lame. But
did you not have? I did the store pickup, for free.
Oh, they still charged me. It's charged me $6 for the store pickup.
Do you know why they had if you spent $80, it was free, And so that was the reason I got the Mikkeller. I was done with the rest, and then it was like I needed like $12. I was like, do I get another one? I was like, oh, this Mikkeller sounds fun. Fuck it, and then got the free store pickup because I got one down the road.
Smart.
But,
yeah, so I screwed up because I did 2 transactions.
Yeah.
I didn't get the free store.
Well, at least you got a bunch of good bottles.
Yeah, no, I'm happy, and they'll sit in the cellar for a while. But yeah, so once the Cantillon was gone, then it finally opened up. But it's interesting. It's interesting that there's such a demand for this stuff.
Yeah.
And yet the SAQ doesn't seem... And it was brought in by
Pivo,
importation,
right?
Pivo.
Yeah.
Pivo was the one. So shout out
Fred.
to Craig, and shout outs to Fred.
Just Fred. Fred, why don't you hook us up, Fred? Come on, bro. I'll pay for it. We're jam. Make us wait in line. Get up early. Shit, Fred. God damn it, Fred.
What was I going to say?
So we're talking about the system and how the SAQ works and why they're not bringing in this shit.
So, I went into the store where I got this delivered to. I was like, I'll see what they have on the shelf. And it's like nothing. They have like 2 rows and most of the time it's just stuff that I have no interest in buying. Sometimes there's interesting stuff. Like if you're in a Trappist monk beers, then they tend to have some good selection
and stuff. And, yeah.
You can get Orval there. You can get a couple, but like, I don't get why they don't concentrate more on
the stuff that people actually want.
Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting? I noticed there's different type of SAQ stores. So people who don't know, I guess I probably should explain what that. So I guess we've probably got mostly Ontario and Quebec people here, but yeah, SAQ is the government-run store. That's the only place you can buy liquor in, like from a store. You can buy wine elsewhere, dépanneurs and specialty beer stores and crap like that in supermarkets, but it's only shit wine. So all the good stuff comes through SAQ, and they can sell beer, but they rarely do. If they do, like you said, it's like 2 little. I'm not like long shelves, like little shelves in the corner where no one cares. There's SAQ classic stores. So there's one actually close by here. And that one has crazy stuff on the shelf. It's still like maybe 4 shelves rather than 2, but like the selection at that one store is leagues above a regular SAQ. And I always check just in case, because I found one time they had on the same sale. It was the La Vermontoise, yeah, and I didn't like that at all, to be honest. It was a farmhouse with Hill Farmstead and someone else from Belgium did a collab. Didn't really like it, to be honest. It was just too. And I like Farmhouse, but it wasn't like some of Hill Farmstead's Farmhouse is my favorite in the world. Obviously, they're incredible. This was not on that level, but it was cool. I just scored it. I just bumped into it. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? Like, this is here. This is amazing. So it's always worth checking if you're ever in there. But I find it's few and far between, and you have to go to those classique stores that have like the import wine section too. They get all the specialty wine rather than like the cheaper stuff, and probably I'm sure they get better liquor as well. Just like the higher end stuff, and for nerds like us,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know why. I wonder if it's. I'd like to ask Fred. Probably be good. We should interview Fred. Probably not a bad idea.
I was thinking that too.
I'll hit him up. I spoke to him because he's in Quebec City. We went to Quebec City. I was supposed to link with him, but didn't work out. He was busy, kids and all that stuff.
I didn't realize he was in Quebec City.
Yeah. He hit me up. I got in touch with him because I posted. He started bringing in this brewery called La Sirène from Melbourne, actually.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, the bottle ad was great. I really enjoyed it. He said they had some other stuff. But I connected him with another brewery back home that I think you saw the podcast with them, because I did a couple with some Aussie guys. And hopefully they bring them out. I think they're going to try and bring some of the dark beers or sours and stuff that can last the trip and the SAQ 3-month bullshit. Right. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see why, because maybe we could find out a bit more from the importer's perspective. Like, how do you source the stuff? Why, how are you able to constantly move it? Like, maybe they buy them in bits and pieces, or do they have to sell to individual stores? And why do they do these big sales? As he hit them up, be like, guys, I'd like to know how that comes together, because it's...
Yeah, and I imagine the SAQ would probably argue that they don't concentrate on beer to allow for the local scene to maybe thrive more or something like that. But I just don't buy it. Like, I don't think they have the ability to really hurt the scene here, unless they go nuts and start importing everything from everywhere, and there's other half now at the SAQ or something. But
it'd be dead other
like,
half. But
like if they started concentrating more on it and bringing in more and having a proper selection, and I just don't see why they wouldn't. If they're doing it with wine, like, it just boggles my mind. You walk into this store and it's just like shelves and shelves and shelves of everything, and then you go to this tiny little beer section.
it
like,
doesn't.
We don't give a shit. Whereas in the LCBO, yes, they have a big local
huge local
selection, and I get why the SAC doesn't do that. They allow the depths and the breweries to handle that, and that's fine. But the LCBO also still has a quite a big
international section.
Or international, yeah.
I don't think. Do they do this stuff very often? Do they like bring in lambics and shit and do sales?
Not very often.
No. I wonder. One thing that struck us. We were obviously coming from Ontario before we moved here. We were very used to getting Niagara wine. Wherever we went, there was always a huge VQA or Ontario section. So we would always go to the LCBO. So when we came to Quebec, like, fuck yeah, man, we're going to get all the Quebec wine. And most SAQs didn't even stock them.
Yeah.
And we still, to this day, don't really understand what's going on with the lack of support. I do think the wine region, the wine scene out here is significantly less developed and in quality-wise as well than Ontario. But I don't know
we
why.
have good ice wine, if I'm not mistaken.
I have seen ice wine and good spirits. The spirits here are insane. Like some of the best gins I've ever had in my life from here. Quebec is
there is a pretty good selection of gins. Gins is like craft gins are the new thing, I think.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. Tiff gets a lot because of Liquid Happiness. Go follow her at Liquid X Happiness if anyone's not on Instagram. But Tiff gets a pretty good selection of.
Did you guys try the Chanlib gin?
They did gin?
Yeah. The second batch is coming out soon.
All right. Well, maybe I should hit Alex up, see if we could send on a little bottle to the young lady, No, I'd love to try it. Was it good?
Yeah, it was different, though.
What do you do?
We used a bunch of botanicals on his property.
Cool. That's smart.
I think including some juniper, but it really didn't have your typical gin profile. It almost tasted more like tequila, which is kind of crazy.
Interesting.
So it had that. I find tequila has this particular taste and aroma that I can't really describe. It had that, and I think he had added fresh hay from the property, and he thinks that might have been what gave it that tequila vibe. I liked it, but I think people who are used to that like really juniper berry forward thing, it's not the same at all. But I enjoyed it. But I don't have a huge palate for spirits.
No.
I dig them sometimes, but I can't really tell what's great.
That's good. I feel like, we've been, because of the tourism trips, we've ended up going to different distilleries and trying this stuff, and they'll make us some drinks or take you on a tour, and you're like, all right. Like, I find it's sort of like the same shit as, when you know good beer from bad beer type of thing.
Yeah.
Like the I don't know if they even call it macro, but the mainstream, say gins, for example. Like, I feel like if you put a Bombay, like an average stuff, like in Bombay is probably even above average, like I know London's or Beefeater and shit, and you put that against some of the local small batch stuff, it's night and day. Like, I'm actually looking at one now. There's one called, that's outside Quebec, it's called Bar Hill, Barr Hill in Montpellier, Vermont. We went there the weekend before COVID, the weekend before they locked everything down. And they get this huge, beautiful building, distillery room, and like a cocktail bar that had fucking heady topper. They had, what else did they have there? They're just wild shit. It was so crazy. I guess it's for the people who don't want to drink gin. They made these sick cocktails, and they have honey. Their logo was like a bee, so they had all these like honey cocktails and stuff. They make it, the gin is honey gin. It is out of control, and they stock it at the SAQ. Actually,
oh wow,
it's like $30 or $40. It's probably like $40 US, and here it's maybe 75 Canadian with all the taxes. Worth every penny, but it's like, can you hear me? Is any gin better than Bar Hill, or is that the best you've ever had? I know it's a big question. I know it's just like, because she gets a lot. There's a lot of fire. I'm looking there. I mean, Four Pillars from Melbourne's
Four
good.
Pillars from Melbourne's delicious.
They use Shiraz gin.
It's funny in terms of not because what people don't really realize is Hendrick's is a small batch.
Hendrick's is small batch.
Yeah,
so Hendrick's is really fire.
Small batch because they're so well distributed, but they're actually considered small batch. Then locally though, Romeo's.
Yeah, one called Romeo's is really good. Jardin Verde. I'm not sure. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'll make sure you can hear you. Cool. I'll repeat what you're saying. If you want.
And that.
We went to this one in Granby, literally down the street from Vruden, and we didn't realize. And I was there a couple of years ago on the way back. Panoramics, but I don't know. I think that's the name of the product, not the thing. It's called like Distillery.
Oh yeah, it was from the area he's from.
No, what's the they make what's the weird shit that makes you see elephants? Absintherie de Canton.
Yeah,
it's in Canton de l'Est, right? So we went. This dude who could barely speak English, young guy, like younger than us, like late 20s, long haired, looks like a little like does not look like the type of dude who would make insane spirits.
Blue Pearl Distillery. Madison's Gin.
Blue
Quebec
Pearl,
is amazing.
Madison. Yeah,
Quebec has so much great gin.
Yeah, Quebec is probably the best market in the country.
My second favorite gin next to Vermont now.
What's the second favorite? Oh, Quebec is the second favorite gin.
Yeah, and then Vermont is just...
Well, I don't know any other Vermont ones aside from Bar Hill.
Bar Hill
is just that good. It's just
Smuggler's Notch.
Smuggler's Notch.
You have a bottle of the Bar Hill one?
Yeah, I got a couple bottles there. It's incredible. We brought one back from there, and then we looked it up while we were there. We're like, oh, should we get it? Because we're like, if we have it in Quebec, let's not risk it in case we have to pay taxes on it. Because when you pay taxes, apparently on spirits, it's like 100%. So if you pay $40 US for it, you probably have to pay another $40 in taxes for it. So we're like, fuck that. But we did it and we were fine. And then when that ran out, we got one here, and it was worth that $75 or whatever it was. So the one from that Absintherie de Canton, whatever, it's the first one I'd seen with the butterfly pea powder, where if you mix it with citrus or tonic, it goes pink. So it's blue. The gin is actually blue, and then it changes to pink when you pour in the thing. It's a very cool gimmick. But the gin is exceptional. Yeah, man. So we should do a gin. We should do a spirits and other shit podcast. I don't know, but it's wild, bro. Like, it's some real.
Called? Bar Hill?
When I do my W7 spirits, I'll have to start that podcast.
Yes, we should, right? BARR Hill. Check it out right now. It's beautiful. Really cool thing they do. Did we get it? I think they have 3 different types of gins because you could buy a sample. All their gins are
infused with honey. I don't know if
all of them are
because I hear it in delays.
Oh yeah, they're all infused with honey.
Mm-hmm.
We just got the main. The main one's all you need. And they have like a copper one that's got aged in like whiskey barrels or some shit.
Yeah, Tomcat gin.
That's the one.
Bar Hill Tomcat. That one's $93.
They have it. Okay, probably worth it.
Dylan's is also great. If you want to consider Ontario.
And Dylan's in Ontario, in Niagara.
But the standard one's $80.
$80. Okay.
You can order it online right now.
It's worth it.
They're all worth it.
I can't express how much it's worth it, dude. Like, if you ever, it's the type of thing. It's like you wouldn't dare mix it unless you made a fire cocktail or something with some honey. And Tiff just has it on ice. And Tiff is like a G with spirits, and she's just knocking that. I don't like tasting booze whether it's in beer, wine, or spirits. Obviously, if you're drinking spirits, that's what you're tasting. But I like it when it's in a cocktail and stuff. But that's one thing I can... If I didn't have so much beer to drink all the time, I would absolutely partake in that a lot more often.
I would too. Also wine.
Yeah.
But wine's an expensive hobby that I don't think I can get.
That's it, because beer is bad enough for us. But with wine, and we take, this is an expensive small bottle. The average size of this, you would spend $4, $4 to $6 at most. And that's the risk. If you're going to buy something, you're like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. It's not that much. But in wine, you're minimum kind of $20 for small batch local stuff type of shit.
Well, it's the thing. Like, what we've spent on this bottle of beer to most people is insane.
It's absurd,
for a beer.
Yeah.
But if it was a 375 milliliter bottle of wine and it was $11, it'd be like, well, not even totally pricey.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole other game, and it's like such a roll of the dice every time you're getting something that you don't know, which is the beauty of, say, being in a place like Niagara, whether it's Beamsville or Niagara on the Lake, where you can pop into the wineries, do a little sample, and if you buy something, the sample's free. Sometimes they're just mad cool, like, don't worry about it. We did that in Napa. We went to Napa. Okay, this is a whole other thing. Have you been to many wineries and the wine regions and stuff?
No.
No?
Not many. I've been to a couple in the townships, but this was like a decade ago.
A while ago. Okay. So the only reason I'm comparing, it was just really funny. So I've been in Australia to a bunch, Yarra in Melbourne and in Hunter Valley in Sydney. I went to Okanagan in Vancouver or whatever, BC up in there. We do obviously Niagara. We went to a couple in Vermont and stuff, and we did some Palisades in Colorado. So we've been to a bunch of areas, and they're all pretty much the same. You pay $5 to $10, maybe 15 if it's a bowling one, for a tasting flat, and it's maybe 4 wines. They give you more than that. They give you like an ounce, something like that, just to sip and be like, okay, cool. And then if you buy a bottle, then they don't charge you. When we went to Napa Valley, so there's Sonoma and Napa Valley, they're right next to each other, and Napa's the bowler one. And we went to this one place our friend told us to go to, and it was, I think they're like $75 US for a tasting. We were like, oh my fucking God. We're like, all right, well, we're just going to split them. We're not going to do one each. That's ridiculous. Because you end up probably spending $500 plus a day just going to like 4 wineries to taste it, not even leaving with a bottle. And we finished, I don't know, whenever we go places, people typically recognize us because we're, like I say, our faces are everywhere. So if it's a winery, they offer no tip as well and stuff like that. So maybe some people hook it up, or they're like, don't worry, you guys are cool. We still buy the wine or whatever, but like, this dude was just like, you're good. And we was like, are you sure? Like, I get the fuck out of here quick, like, because it was like, it saved us and he gave me one as well. So we had 2 $75 US flights. It's down near $100 for like 4 1-ounce pours. It's just really wild. So
that must have been some spectacular wine.
It was exceptional. They're all cab savs out there. It's big region, but yeah, the wine world is.
My father-in-law is a big wine guy, and so I kind of got him into beer, and he got me into wine a little bit, but I never ended up going forward with the wine thing. But his thing is big, bold Australian wines. Like, that's pretty much all he drinks. So he has like, he doesn't have it anymore because it broke, but he had this like giant wine fridge, and it was just filled with almost all exclusively Australian like cabs and Shirazes and all that. So
that's sick.
And nothing probably under like $30-$40. So like he enjoyed his wine. So we used to drink a lot, but now since I got him to beer, whenever I'm there, it's only IPAs.
All right, hey man, sometimes
he's got great tastes, but he has very specific tastes. So for wine, he doesn't drink white, has to be bold reds. For beer, it's pretty much exclusively IPAs. Okay,
but he loves Sankey and Baron, right? Which is great.
Yeah, obsessed with them. You want to crack open this?
Yeah. Could you grab the Messorem? It's the black and white one on the bottom. Thank you.
I have a cooler next to me. Just
look at you. You don't fuck around. Tell me about this next one. Have you had this yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pump out glassware for every.
Ooh, nice. Actually disappeared in the background. There you go.
Oh,
we got him. Yeah, put it in front of your face and it stays. It's sexy. I like the little tumbler. Thank you, baby.
Yeah. So honestly, I love this glass.
That's really cool. Like the size of it and everything. I actually quite like that. So this one is called Sous un autre forme. So under another form, I guess. Under another body or something. It's a 6.5% double dry hopped IPA. I can't remember what it has in it. You can check Untapped actually.
I think it's got Galaxy. Most of them do.
Yeah. Shit, most of them do. Let's say it's Galaxy. Messorem, Sous. There you go. In autre forme, it is Galaxy, Amarillo, and Centennial. Good memory. So this is one of the new releases, I think, from last week or the week before, maybe. I think it was last week. Shouts to Paul Andre for getting this for me.
This is smells fantastic.
Yeah, it's popping that open. It's like a nice switch. So we were thinking before about, should we do like a crispy boy to start or something? And then you were like, yo, let's do that gueuze.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way because it's light and maybe you'll fuck up our palate if we have it later. Yeah, this looks great. Woo! Smells super bright. I think of all the new releases that I got, this was my favorite. by far.
Yeah.
Except for the Helles. The Helles Lager was insane.
Really? Was that good? So they really nailed it.
Oh, they nailed it, bro. I'm loving their lager. Their crispy boys are brilliant. I've had 2 or 3 at the brewery, and that was my first canned one I think I had. I was really excited, actually, when I got that. I much preferred to have that than the other IPAs. At the end of the day, like, yeah, I think I bought four 4-packs, and one of them I was like, do you want to get all their IPAs? I'm like, oh, fuck, let's get these IPAs, and then the Crispy Boy was not even a question. And it's significantly cheaper. It's like less than $20 for a 4-pack.
Oh, that's good at least.
Yeah, because
I wasn't sure if they were going to be charging the same.
Yeah, the shit is like expensive, man. I think some of the stuff I got, like the one that we were considering, the Conspiration or whatever it's called, is like 8.5%. It's like $30, $32, something like that.
Wow. Which
is a lot of money for, I mean, look, it's worth it. I'm sure the amount of hops and stuff they put in there are just insane. Man, get in ya.
Cheers.
Yeah, super bright. Kind of smells like Galaxy. So I think this has almost got better. It's got
Probably.
that signature, it's like a mouthfeel that Messorem have. And it's got the hot burn immediately. I love their hot burn. I've had other people who aren't super fans of this. They're saying that the hot burn technically is a flaw in these types of beers, but it seems to have become something that they continue to do, which I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different schools of thought on it, and I don't know enough about brewing to say if something is a flaw or not, or should be there or shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But I also think that everything in time gets thrown out the window when new styles are born. I mean, like, IPAs in general are by definition imbalanced beer, right? So, like,
that's true.
Once it can just keep going in any direction. I mean, I for me, when I look at things, I just like, is it pleasing on the palate? And sometimes it isn't. Sometimes,
yeah,
I think what's happening is a lot of breweries are just are going so aggressive with it that it just tastes like hop burn, or that like pellety insanity.
Yeah.
Whereas I think where it works is it's funny because one criticism about these styles is that they're too sweet, which is interesting because on the most part I don't find them that sweet. And I think part of that is because of the burn. And then that's kind of the new bitter. You know what I mean? To a certain degree. Like, and that's why I think Messorem's doubles are often really, really good, because they have that kind of slightly augmented burn thing. But then when you have a malty double IPA, it like cuts through it. And so you just end up with this crazy bright, somewhat burny, bitter thing. But then it counters with the maltiness so that it's like sweet, hot burn, and you find that middle ground. But then I also think that they've just done a really good job at kind of finding themselves, and this is the perfect example of it, because it's got that burn, but it's not off-putting, it's not too intense, it's balanced in terms of, where we're at in IPA
world
land.
Yeah, you're right.
But IPA history.
IPA history. You're right. That's a really good point. I really like the hop burn. I think maybe that's why, because I don't really like it when it's too sweet either, and I don't like it when you got like an 8% or whatever, and you can start to taste the booze in the background. It's just like unpleasant, and like it's not. I don't want to feel like I'm drinking an 8%. I'd rather it be dangerously drinkable type of shit. And the hop burn definitely contributes to it. And they're really good with the hopping rates, like the way they do. They just cram these things full. I love the milky haze that they consistently have. It's super dope, and I usually find that the milk, it's weird, but I don't know if there's any sort of chemical explanation, but the milkier the IPA, the more I like it typically, because it has this sort of mouthfeel that I prefer, that real sort of smoother, chalkier type of mouthfeel that typically comes with this. Someone's saying here, Riser P saying same. Maybe he's saying he enjoys because it's a little bit delayed with the comments, and maybe he's saying he agrees with the last thing. But yeah,
right.
Yeah, I really like the way they've done it. And at first I found this specific beer has profile maybe that's very similar to their early IPAs. I don't know if you remember the first month, 2 months, and it was this, everything was green as fuck, everything had this hot burn, and everything had whatever, there's something in this that I can't really describe that reminds me of their earlier stuff. Does that, you tried all the earlier shit too, right?
I tried all the early stuff, then a couple here and there, and then like almost nothing for 6 months. And then recently I've had like 6 or 7 different ones. It was either they were like this or they were kind of something else, and hard to describe. I know you were saying too that a couple that you weren't in love with.
Yeah.
But the second I do have one that I'm like, oh, they didn't really knock this one out of the park, and then I try and immediately be like, okay, so these guys make like 3 new beers a week.
It's a lot.
It's insane.
Lot.
So
yeah.
like, you can't nail them all.
No.
Especially if you try something different, right? Because like, I feel like they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place a lot of the time, I'm sure, because they get, I mean, no matter what with success, you're going to get a lot of criticism.
Of course.
But they get, I've heard people say, I've said this probably, that like all their beers kind of taste the same. But then if they try and go in a different direction, then there's going to be like, not like criticism that it's not as good or whatever. So it's like they can't win, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I do always enjoy what I drink from them usually.
Yeah. Yep.
But I get it too. Like if I was investing a crap ton of money every week, and I end up with this like $30 4-pack, and it's like meh, I could be a little disappointed. As
a consumer, yeah. Riza is just saying, never seen a UK beer with that tone. What percentage is it? So this one here is 6.5%. If you look into breweries like Cloudwater, they are the OGs, I believe, of UK haze. Verdant do some really good haze over there. I imagine Northern Monk, I think, do some really good stuff. There's probably a bunch of others, but I haven't really got too deep into the UK stuff, man. But take a look. Specifically Cloudwater, they're out of Manchester. Insane stuff. And you're right. So basically I got the four lots of the lager, this one and 2 other IPAs. The other 2 IPAs I wasn't super fond of. That's the first time, to be honest, I've ever felt that way about Messorem stuff, if I'm going to be transparent. One of them was it's called 100. It's the new single hop double IPA. They've done about 4
Which
or 5.
one was it that you had?
Enigma. So I had the very first one. I think it was Galaxy, and it was fucking fire. And then I was really excited when I saw this. This was one of the first ones that I went for because I was like, hell yeah, I want this one because the other one was so good. And everybody on Untapped was saying that was the worst one of the series. And honestly, really, it wasn't great. And maybe there was something.
But I had the one right before it.
What was that?
I had the Motuka one.
Motuka? How was that? Killer?
I loved it.
Yeah. So
I loved it, but then other people had told me that it was weaker than some of the other ones. So I was like, oh, okay.
So then there's 2 schools of thought, right? Like, I don't read the Untapped stuff immediately. Oh, this person says Indian Pale Ale. Yes, it's an IPA, so yes, indeed. I didn't read the Untapped reviews before I drank it because I don't do that. I know like Chris and Nate both hate it for that reason. I don't fuck with that. I just log it for my own, so I don't forget what I mean. You know, it lets me keep track of it aside from my own thing, my own reviews. But they said about I was drinking the Enigma. I'm like, this is not fantastic. And the other one was called that Conspiration Fabulation or something. It's got like a slash in it. So I drank one. It was okay. So the worst one was the 100, and then that one was like, oh, it's okay. And I told Nate because I actually bought the 4-packs because I was trading with Nate and my brother. I never want 4 of anything, so I was like, perfect. I get 2 of all that and get them, and I get them some fire. So Nate loved it. Nate said it was phenomenal. I was like, all right, cool. So everyone has their tastes, the profile that they like the most and stuff like that. So, and also someone said, I think it might have even been Chris when I was saying it to the group, like, yo, have you guys tried any stuff that I didn't think was great? They were like, well, look, think about it. You're doing this stuff every week. What are you going to do? Are you going to dump it? Or are you going to be able to, sometimes you have to put out a beer that you're not in love with to keep, just to keep the lights going, to keep shit running. Otherwise, you're dumping a lot of money. I mean, some of those runs might cost them 20, 30 grand.
Yeah, possibly.
I know that I've had quotes before.
And they're doing so fast that they might not even know.
Yeah, they might not even know because it all kind of blends in. So what are they going to do? They're going to, was it horrible? No. Was it not great? Yeah, in my opinion, but other people seem to share it. But the other thing is, I come into this ready to love it. I'm not a pretentious fuckhead ready to be like, man,
yeah.
Like I know, we know the guys. I know the people behind it, so I want them to win because they're doing everything that I ever wanted to happen in Quebec. They started it, aside from Bar Canada, but they started in Montreal. And now between them and Brewski, you got Sir John up in the chute, and like all these different, Gallicus, I guess, not too far up there, and then Saint Kian Baron. I feel there's all these, and Boreal, and all these breweries doing this killer shit. I'm like, Quebec's we should definitely get into that. I think Quebec's the best in Canada now. You know how I feel about Quebec. I love it.
Fast.
Real fast, like that. But I think it had been growing in the background. Then boom, that's what it was. But yeah, I think there's just people ready to hate, and they're the fucking hype boys, haze boys, trade dickheads who go and we make fun of the dudes who go and post they went and exceed their limits when they'll go and get a case of everything, and they're the reasons we can't get a 4-pack type of shit. Those motherfuckers, I hate those guys. This dude Rise is saying, do you guys like Punk IPA by Brewdog? It's okay. It's a bit old school. It's a nice little gateway IPA. Does the trick. Wouldn't grab it if I saw it though. Old school shit.
Yeah, I remember trying it back in the day. It was a good one.
It's a good gateway beer.
It was kind of a I don't know if it's a revolutionary beer, but I remember at the time it was kind of pushing not the limit, but like doing something a bit different. It was a bit brighter. It was a bit juicier than what existed at the time. Less caramelly, from what I remember.
Yeah, it's probably on the hoppier side, piney, resiny.
Yeah,
I haven't had it for a while though.
Yeah, I think by the time it became available in like the LCBO and stuff like that, there had been plenty of other stuff that was similar and probably surpassed it, if that's a thing. But yeah, I remember enjoying that beer a lot.
It's good because they got so big. They're a good gateway brewery. Hey, kitty, who just disappeared into the background. That's hilarious. Oh, there's a kitty popped up. That's actually
hilarious. It's gonna happen a lot. This is what she does.
Hey, I respect it. Let her. As long as you're comfortable, you can still drink. You okay? You okay there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see her a bit more. What's that kitty's name?
This is Rooney.
Rooney, after the soccer player.
No, she had a weird, because we adopted her. She had a weird French name that sounds borderline offensive.
Okay.
It wasn't intended, but I won't say it. But it rhymed with. We were like, okay, well, we don't want to give her a completely new name, so let's find a name that rhymes with it. And I don't remember if it was me or Jenny. Like, oh, Rooney. We like that name, like Rooney Mara. The actress. I like the name. I figured we'd call her Rue, which I like, but ultimately, we just call her Rooney.
Okay.
Jenny started calling her Rooney Tunes, like after Rooney Tunes, and that kind of stuck.
I like that. That's good. I enjoyed you guys. You sent a photo, and you're just joking, but you had 2 leashes around the 2 cats in the backyard. It just looks so funny, like walking the cat. I know you were telling me that's not a real thing, but like I found that very entertaining.
Yeah, well, it's just good to give them some outdoor time if they're not outdoor cats.
No, I totally get it. What were we talking about before the BrewDog shit? There was something that we were moving into.
The hype stuff.
The haze and everything. Okay, yeah.
Quebec.
So I've been pretty vocal about my criticisms of Quebec as far as like they did all the stuff that you always like that I make fun of you for no real reason, just to do it. But the farmhouse, all the really great big barrel aged stouts and stuff, and blah blah blah. And then now, all the things that were missing, Quebec has filled the gaps, ticked the boxes, but in a way nowhere else has. Like, nowhere does, I don't know, Chris hates them, but the smoothie sours and shit like that. No one's doing them like Brewski. And I would argue that Brewski is slightly topping Messorem's smoothie IPAs as well, or smoothie sours and shit. the haze is just out of control here. Everything from Gatineau down to Montreal, even like L'Abordage and Sutton,
Right.
you know, Boreal, and even going out to Quebec City now. Noctem's fucking killing it. Barberie, Emporium. It's just so impressive. Lagers, crispy boys everywhere. Everyone's killing it. Messorem, like we were saying, all the same people, just killing everything. It's just such a pleasure to have everything at our Brasserie Générale, which is in your background, which is our next beer. They were just amazing. The haze is crazy. Like, all their shit is fire. I'm like,
they've
like,
really reinvented themselves, but we can talk about that after when
we get to their stuff. But yeah, man, I was very critical of the things, and what they did was they did every single thing I complained about. They did it, and like better than anywhere. And I still thought Ontario is still doing some amazing shit. You got, you know, Steve out there, Milton, Third Moon, the newest big hype guys out there that are just insane. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff happening in Ontario, but I still think I still get a reasonable amount of Ontario beer, but I still think Quebec has it finally topped BC and Ontario now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drink enough from out west. I've
Look,
had
it's
a
still
lot
sick.
from Ontario,
Yep.
but
Everything's still
I
sick.
think what we
It's
have
like,
now is we have the full spectrum.
we have the full spectrum, and I would argue though a little more.
Yeah.
Like, the shit that I had from Brewskis, I've had a bunch of their brew juices now, maybe half a dozen of them. I still got a couple more in the fridge. They're as good as the Veil, the stuff I had in Virginia, like the haze from Brewski, the haze from Messorem, it's just as good as the States. So, to be fair, my friend Tio from Crowns and Hops, shouts to you, bro. He sent me a couple weeks ago. He sent me his Black is Beautiful. He sent me their beer, it's called BPLB, Black People Love Beer. It's their haze, and he threw in 2 cans of Monkish, and I hadn't had Monkish since I went to the brewery, and oh my fucking god, I'm like, okay, all right. So I think we still have a little way to go, because it was like out of this world exceptional. Like, I can't express how good that shit was, but we're like chasing its tail. In a way, and that was the first. I mean, obviously, I usually go to Vermont pretty regularly, and if it wasn't for COVID, I'm sure I would have been in New York, because we usually go to the music festival in August. You know, I usually get around a bit, and it was up there with all of that stuff. Even, you know, Forme out there in Vermont, and Burlington Beer Co and stuff. So, man, I'm just really impressed, and I'm happy to be able to eat my words, because I wasn't shitting on it. I'm always like, man, like, what the fuck? Where is it? Because no one was really even doing it to shit on, to say it wasn't good. It's just no one was doing it. So Messorem was like like last summer. That's why it's good now. I think you're right, because last summer it feels like it was like that. But Brewski installed they started brewing, I think it was August or even September last year, and Messorem opened in July last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a year and a bit to see those two grow, and then around that you've seen Sir John just kind of come out of the blue with crazy shit. I guess even Gallica started doing a haze, Nouvelle France.
Yeah, so like, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. So, I wish I could have more Brewski, because the IPAs that I had from them seemed to really hit my palate well. Like, I really enjoyed everything I tried from them. Like, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, great.
Whereas in Sir John, I've had some that I quite liked, but some that are just that hop burn, like it's just through the roof. Like, it's too much.
I've had that too.
And
but
then
their stouts are amazing too.
Gallicus is like that too. Like,
Mm.
Gallicus, you almost have to leave in the fridge for 3 weeks before you can drink it. Like, it's just so intense, but also good, enjoyable. So it's like they're all kind of getting there in their own way. Yeah.
But I guess, and I can't disagree with any of that stuff, because you're 100% right. It's more, I'm just happy that there's a multitude of not just great, like excellent local examples of all of the styles that as of 12 to 18 months ago, just barely existed here, if at all. You couldn't get a smoothie sour that was the level that had like the one I had. They had the 100% raspberry one from Brewski, the brew juice, and it's 40% raspberries, like 400 grams per liter of raspberries. That's why these things are insane. It's like you have to keep it cold or it's going to go off. Like
Yeah.
I had that from the Vale. I had a geuze, blackberry geuze, and it was called Nevermore, and there was Nevermore squared and cubed, and I got the cubed one, and it was just like damn near goop. Like, it was crazy, and that was the most intense thing I've ever had. And because it was a geuze, it was a little strange, but I felt like brewskis were damn near better, to be honest, man. Like, it's fucking wild. I'm just so impressed. It makes me really happy. And also, fuck you to the people who rubbed them. Did you see they got rubbed?
Yeah.
Horrible. Right in the middle, just after the shutdown. Like, this is a local business. They've been around for a while. Like, hopefully what they got wasn't anything of value. And nothing that they aren't insured for or whatever, but that makes me sick. Because we know Guillaume and Derek, and they're good fucking dudes, man. They work really hard, and they really believe in what they're doing, and they got a great team, and it makes me sick. So hopefully they're going to be doing okay. I should get them on. We should get them on. You know them, right?
No, I don't. I mean, I've had interactions with them like over Instagram, but I don't know them very well.
Good
but
dudes.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I think I might hit them up. Once I don't know, maybe they're probably just too hectic right now dealing with all that shit. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just really proud of Quebec, and even just things like I haven't even had many of them to be honest. But Hildegard, everyone always talks about Hildegard's lagers, and they weren't even brewing when I first started going there. They were just a beer bar. And then Silo JP, we're having him on soon. Apparently I haven't tried them, but he opened up in a Huntsic. His crispy boys are apparently like out of control because he was one of the brewers who went to the Czech Republic and just, I'm sure, picked up a bunch of knowledge and tried a bunch of stuff, and apparently his shit's authentic as fuck and just fantastic. So
yeah, they reached out to me, so I think they're gonna send me some stuff. I'm excited to try it.
Yes, they also own Bira, so I think they just started canning beers, and they're brewing them because he used to own. For people who don't know, he used to own La Succursale in Rosemont.
Right.
So and then him and his girlfriend started Bira, and he was brewing beers either at La Succursale or at, I think it was my Brasserie or something like that, like wherever they contracted their larger stuff from. And then he sold his share or stake, or whatever you want to call it, in La Succursale, focused on Bira, and I think that's when he went on his trip and then planned to start his own new place. Because he was at La Succursale, that was one of the first time he made in New England, and it looked not too dissimilar to Tiffany's Chardonnay right here. Like,
are you drinking Tiffany's Chardonnay?
No, but I should. It's rosewood. Ooh, that smells buttery, huh? Oof. Have you had rosewood before?
I don't think so.
Man, they're the best wines in Canada. They're the craft beer of wine. I've told you about it before, right? You know, they're insane. Their shit is wild. Like, they do the most interesting combinations. They do things that aren't traditional. They just kill
Which is kind of unheard of in the wine scene.
Oh yeah,
like beer, it's kind of like do whatever you want. Wine,
not so much. Particularly because you need the VQA certification to be able to sort of get that immediate thing of recognition to be like this, you know, make Chard. Because like he was saying, we know like the owner Will and the winemaker Ryan. When I first met Ryan, every time I've seen him, he was wearing a Stone City hat from the brewery in Kingston. So the winemaker's wearing a beer hat. And he is the guy we hang out with him at Merit, and after what's the one called, Liquid Art, the Collective Arts Festival and shit. So he's like, this Chardonnay, like part of it's in stainless, but part of it's in barrels, and then another one's in a different type of barrel or something. You're not allowed to do that. It has to just be stainless. And then all of a sudden they lose their VQA certification, but it's this most fascinating blend of wines. And he does it. You get it's called the Thief. It's that big thing where you suck it up, and he makes he gets a glass. He's just 33. You're just making the blend on the spot, and then swirling it, and then pouring it into our glasses, like to test, to show us what they taste like. And it's just really cool because it's like you said, like it's not heard of, and it's just an approach that isn't common at all. It's very cool.
Sorry for the cat.
No, I love the cat. The cat's funny. The cat's good at cameo. I love her.
I don't have a door on this room.
That's all right. Rooney is loving it, mate. Look at him. Oh, you get that cat asshole in here. Yeah.
Oh, she's the worst for that.
Just flashing the butty.
Kind of a stinky cat too. So,
so the butty's just smelling. Cat butty. What were we talking about before we talked about cat assholes?
We were talking about wine and part of that.
Wine.
I think we're just talking about the scene in general. And I mean, like...
Oh, yeah, JP. Anyway, yeah.
One thing I wanted to touch on was... I think we might have... Not to rehash stuff that I've brought on your podcast before.
No, let's do it, because maybe there's new listeners, too.
I think we're at an interesting point because we have these new breweries that have come in and done the things that you wanted to be done here, right?
Correct.
But I think what's ultimately happening is their popularity. I don't know if this is actually factual or if it's just perception or people are just be paranoid or whatever. But it almost seems like they're not taking away, but they're so popular that all the other breweries feel like they have to go down that route too, to make ends meet or to be relevant or whatever. So I think that's kind of challenging. Like I couldn't care less if Dunham makes a hazy IPA. Like go for it if you want.
They do. Cyclops.
That's not what they do. The Cyclops, but I don't. I think they used to be known for their IPAs like 6 years ago. Not known, but like Dunham IPAs were, up there with everyone else's. But now that the IPA scene has changed so much and that what people want is the haze with a couple of West Coasts spackled in there or whatever.
Yeah.
I want the amazing wild beers that Dunham does, sours or the blends or whatever. But I think what happens is a lot of these... I said Dunham a lot, but I don't even really consider them part of this. But like a lot of other breweries are just like creating these New Englands to sell when... because there's such a desire for it, and it's almost like shifting everything. Whereas it's like they're not allowed just doing what they did before. It's like that's not good enough for us beer geeks and for the general community that now everyone has to do this thing, so everything has to shift in this direction. Whereas what I would prefer is that you do you and you do you, and then I can enjoy in silly, I'm going to say silly hazy IPAs and smoothie nonsense and crazy thick sludgy pastry stouts and all that stuff, because I enjoy it too. But I also enjoy all of what you would call the yawn beers too.
Hashtag young boys.
Yeah, hashtag young boys. And I think, I don't know if it's just a transition period we're in or whatever, but I find it interesting.
No, you're right. I've seen, Chris from Hops and Bros is quite critical of breweries who do that. The point I was making before, actually, when I was comparing the New England that JP made at the Circus Alta Tips Wine, it was damn near clear, and it was obvious. He told me he doesn't like the style, and he said, "Yeah, I tried to make it balanced. It's supposed to be balanced," and it was like fruity and shit, but it hadn't have any crazy body. It just didn't do anything to make you want to drink that. That's not a New England IPA. You just call it that, and he didn't want to do it. And I bet he was making a whole bunch of styles at the Circus Sour that he didn't want to do, and now with Silo, people are saying his shit is exceptional because it's what he wants to make. So brewers need to be more true to themselves rather than true. I understand for business, for sure. But if you're going to go the haze route and you're going to try and compete with this, I mean, you've really got to commit. That the reason why, someone said this to me the other day, I forgot who it was, but they were saying the reason why, say, Messorem is so good and Brewski and all these, because they committed, but that's what they give a fuck about. Like Marc-Andre and Vincent at Messorem, this is what they love. They travel around to get these beers. Derek, Guillaume, and even Zach, one of the brewers, they traveled around. Zach had a YouTube channel where they documented, they made these like videos about it, and they're really well done. And they even interviewed like the alchemists. I mean, I wasn't even able to interview the fucking alchemists and shit. And I got a proper podcast for much longer. I was annoyed at the motherfucker because then they never worked out. But, they went in search of these styles and then they made them. And then they make them well. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, I think the real thing is, like, brewers need to not think that this is all that's going to sell. Because if you make one on your menu, and it's just like this one where you're not trying to appease the hype and drop, like you were saying before, 3-4 new beers every week, you'd probably be fine. But
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's interesting. I was so I don't think you've had much Champ Libre recently. Well, I gave you a couple cans.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, which they were good.
His lagers are exceptional.
Okay,
his Pilsner now is perfection.
Oh, how about the Bohemian one? It used to be in the bottle, right? Now it's in the can.
Yeah, it's so much better. Like it's just been subtly getting better.
Cool.
And now it's amazing. He did an Oktoberfest that was like really nice and clean and a little bit malty.
Nice.
He has a lighter lager that's amazing, and he did this really exceptional Keller beer in a collab with a mutual friend of ours named Jason, who owns an IGA in Granby.
Nice.
And he was we were talking. I went to the brewery one day to pick up some cans, and I was drinking they literally had the canning line going, and they were canning them, and he just taught me the Pilsner right from the canning line, and I just cracked it and was drinking it. And I was like, you gotta just do all lagers, just go nuts, And he's like, yeah, but are people gonna spend $6 or $5 on these cans? And it was a question that I didn't have an answer for, and I don't know. I don't know if people will.
I think they will. Okay. It's a nuanced question. Lagers and pilsners and craft pilsners and dry hopped, all the above, right? They are up there with the trendiest beers. They are up there with the haze and with the sours and the pastry stouts. Correct?
But I'd
would
say
they pay?
It's starting to happen.
Okay, because Quebec is behind. Remember, everywhere else has been doing this forever, years. I've been having fire-ass lagers in Colorado in 2018 type of shit. That's what they were focusing on a lot of the times. And in Virginia last summer, had some of the best I've ever had in my life at Triple Crossing. That's one of my favorite breweries in the world now. Places like that, Vermont is insane for all of that. The Green State Lager from Zero Gravity is so exceptional. It's one of the best standard shelfy lagers I've ever had. This is not new. Once again, Quebec is years behind everywhere else. So we're only just seeing the surface being scratched, right? It was just less than $20. Maybe it was $21. I can't remember. Either way, it was all the IPAs were 30-ish, 28, 30, 26 maybe for this one because it was only 6.5. But then the lager was significantly less. And I was like, yeah. And it was probably in context to that $32 fucking 4-pack of 8% double IPA. So I know that the brewery, a brewery like Messorem, is putting the exact same ingredient, really putting ingredients into this shit. They're not going to charge me $5 or $6 a can of Pilsner Lager, whatever, if it didn't have the ingredients. They would knock it down if it didn't have it in there. But they're not going to do it half-assed because that's not their business model. I remember buying Le Castor. We talked about this. Le Castor Pilsner was mad expensive at first. It was $6.50 a bottle. And then I paid $7.50 for a can of Bar Canada. What's it called? The L'Aspiration.
Yeah.
And it's fucking exceptional. Now, was I happy about it? No. Would I do it regularly? No. But would I cop $20, $22, $24? Would I pay $6? Yeah, I would. For a crispy boy that's good, that I know is good. But I think the taste is being acquired here now. I think people went up to it before because they're still caught up. Why is there a line every single week, even in COVID, even in red alert, even probably in minus 30 degrees? There's going to be a line out the door every time to buy this shit, including the lagers. So, because so I think it's more just the brewery has to keep doing. Yeah, they have to be known for it, I guess.
And lagers are tough though because they have to sit there for months or however
6-7 weeks. Yeah.
And that was funny because he brewed. Alex at Chanly brewed a blonde ale.
Ew.
It's why'd you do a blonde ale if you have a pilsner?
Yeah.
It's
2 weeks.
It's I need to be able to have something on constantly that kind of fits that niche.
It's a different. You can't compare the blonde niche to the lager niche. To a craft lager niche is a different thing.
Yeah, but to the everyday drinker, it's not too far apart.
Would you buy a blonde?
What are you putting me on the spot?
No, I would never buy a blonde. I'm saying I would never fucking buy a blonde. If I went there and he had a blonde or something, I would get something else. I'm not drinking anyone's blonde.
It's such a catch-all term that I probably would just to see what it was about. Like,
I mean, maybe from a brewery that you know was already good, and the only difference is there's 4 weeks in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, so he ended up giving it to me, and I tried it, and it was actually almost like, he called it a blonde ale, but it was almost like a farmhouse blonde ale. So it had a hint of a phenolic thing. Yeah. It was a little bit saison-y, so I actually really enjoyed it. But then you have like the golden ale from Four Origins, which their Ironworks or whatever, which
but that's a golden ale. That's not a blonde ale. The golden ale is very different.
I mean,
I'm picking hairs here. I'm splitting hairs here. Sorry, but like there is a difference because when you think blonde ale, I'm thinking Boreal or Saint Ambroise, like the straight gateway
better versions of that.
Right, so then I would recommend to breweries not to call it a blonde ale because it depends who you're targeting at the end of the day. If I'm not, like I said, if I walk into a brewery, my first pick every single time is where's the crispy boy? Every time. Chris couldn't believe, dude, when we went to Saint-Quian Barons, so Chris from Hops and Bros is the marketing manager at Saint-Quian Barons. We went and visited maybe, I don't know, in August or some shit. It was the first time we'd left Montreal, and it was the first time we drank out of a glass that wasn't from our home. Felt super safe. It was fantastic. And he was like, I was like, oh, how many of these are you? Because I knew I was getting cans for you and me. So I was like, oh, which ones are not in cans should I try? And he was like, oh, like these, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, you probably want this double IPA, and Tiff, you probably want this IPA. And both of us went for the Helles Lager. No, I went for the Helles and she went for the Pilsner. He couldn't believe it. I'm like, I've been telling people from time, people keep thinking I'm just a haze boy. I'm like, I would take a Pilsner over haze any day now. Like, that's how far it's going for me. Like, that's what I want. I was like, I told my brother, we're doing a trade. I sent him, I think we said like 18 beers. And he sent me, I said, just like, he said, what do you want from where? I said, just get me mostly crispy boys. So that's what he did. Because I never get them. And
well, then why don't you just go, like, stock up on Labatt Blue and just put all this crap stuff aside?
You know what? I'm going to do that, God damn it.
Yawn yourself to sleep all night.
Don't you dare disrespect lagers and call them yawn. You need to chill the fuck out, okay? I mean, you probably could actually put them under yawn if you really want to be real about it. But point being, though, like a craft person would take exception to a blonde. But if I saw a Pilsner Lager or something like that, I would do it. To be fair, the best blonde I ever had was from Burlington Beer Co. And it was insane. Like, it was like hazy, fruity, and tropical. It was damn near like a cross between a lager and a New England or something. Oh. It was amazing. I couldn't believe how good it was. So yeah, like, I know what you're saying. To answer Alex's thing, it depends on who his market is. Messorem is a very specific market. Brewski is a split market because if it was for their location, they'd be the same market as Messorem because of what they're making. But their location forces them to make a brown ale, an amber, a blonde, and all the Hefeweizen and all the other bullshit. They know they have to do it because it serves.
They call it bullshit.
It is bullshit. I think even Derek feels the same way. Shouts to you, Derek. You know, bro. Come on, you know. Derek doesn't give a fuck because these guys, this is what they want to drink. So I think it just depends on the brewery. Maybe some of the ones who are still finding their way through Gallicus. I met Sammy. He's a super cool guy. And, I tried 4 of his beers. They were all pretty solid. I feel like he definitely had some work to do, but I don't think he's been doing this style for very long. I've had a couple from Nouvelle France. Have been pretty dope. All of Saint-Quian Baron's ones, I'm going to be honest, and no bias because we should talk about your new stuff soon as well because you've got a relationship with Jacob, the owner. Obviously, Chris is a good friend of ours. He works there, so obviously anything that he does, we would want to be down with. But they're one of my favorite new breweries because they do everything really well. Their crispies, phenomenal. The haze, they make a lot of haze. All of it is really, really good. They did some sours and they did some stouts. Everything's been genuinely fantastic. No bullshitting, no yanking anyone's chain. Like, they're one of the most impressive breweries to me because they did across the board from the beginning. They weren't jumping on any hype train, and everything was really, really solid.
Well, what I like about them is that they kind of are jumping on the hype train, but they're doing it a little bit less intensely, if that makes any sense.
Okay,
like
I can see that.
They're definitely New England IPA focused, right? Like at almost every release there's at least 1 or 2 New England IPAs.
Yeah.
Whether it's a double or a single.
That's true.
But along with that, they're focusing, it seems they're focusing on like kind of gueuzes, a little bit of Berliner Weiss on the side, and a lot of lagers. But like whereas then you have Messorem that's literally 95% IPAs, and then a sprinkling of stouts and a sprinkling of lagers, and now they're doing the smoothie thing a bit more.
A little bit of farmhouse. They drop these bottles here and there from their barrel aged stuff because they opened up a new part of the brewery. Last time I went there, they knocked out the wall of. Did you go out the back when you went there?
I've been there a couple of times.
So you know how there's
I've been on the.
So you know how you walk in from the tap room, you walk kind of around the brewery, the tanks and stuff. You can either walk through the tank room or you walk around the back. And then once you walk around the back, there was another part of the factory that wasn't there. So they included that in their lease and they knocked the wall down and they're putting fooders in there and that's their new barrel room.
Wow.
So that's when they've been
pumping out some.
And that was in, we did the podcast with them in like February probably. So I think that was the last time I was there. I might have gone one other time. I can't remember, but
probably not if it was February.
Yeah, it was pretty close to COVID. What's Steve's name? No, Steve just hit me up from. I won't say where. The brewery that was supposed to interview and said, "Did it come?" I don't think it did, Steve. I don't think it did. But yeah, so they're really going into the barrel aged stuff, and that makes me really happy because they were doing collabs with it. They got the fooders from American Solera in Oklahoma. So
they did collab with them, right?
Yeah, they did the collab. That was a great beer. I actually managed to get hold of that. So yeah, they're doing a bit of everything. But yes, you are correct that it's like 90-95% IPAs with the sprinkling of the other thing. So you're right. Whereas like Sankey and Baron are definitely doing it a little more lighter, I guess.
And what I liked is that I feel like they're definitely focusing on what's contemporary, but they're also not. I don't know how to say this because I don't want to insult anyone else, but I feel like they're not doing the bandwagon quite as intensely as some of the others.
Not at all.
In the sense that like the stout that they did wasn't a pastry stout; it was like a breakfast style stout.
Breakfast style.
So like
Lucid Dreams,
like the OG from Founders there. It's not KBS, but the just like
I think it's just called breakfast style.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of invented it. Like it's basically kind of a carbon copy of that, or like Peche or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was on point, you know. And I feel like we're kind of losing those beers a little bit now because everyone's like, oh, what's popular now? Pastry stouts. Let's do that. Let's throw vanilla, lactose, and this. And like that. I do, and that's what we're about to drink next.
Drink this,
but,
yes.
All this to say that like I really dig what Sankey and Baron is choosing to pump out because I feel like it's smart in the sense that they're doing what's popular, they're doing what's new, but they're still like they're not going snowballing really down that like freight train of ultra contemporary. Like they did a very not simple. They did a Berliner, a raspberry Berliner that's very much like Solstice d'été, and it was solid, but it wasn't a smoothie or anything like that.
No, and I think that's what makes them interesting. That they're doing shit that is like, whoa, like this is good. I didn't know what to expect when I first, Chris made sure he got us out some beers, and we were like, well, I was shocked at how good they were. Not that I thought they were gonna be shit, but I had no expectations, so I didn't know, what to expect from what he was doing, and to have that many fire IPAs that they were. And to be fair, what I like about them the most, to align with what you're saying, is that instead of dropping 3 new beers every week, they're dropping 3 beers a week, but they're dropping the same one from 2 months ago every week, which is, to my mind, it's the Burlington Beer Co. model. So maybe they'll drop 4 new beers a week. two of them are ones they've done before. One of them just a slight variant, so maybe a raspberry Berliner instead of a different one. And then a standard, they're bringing this IPA back that they only bring back 4 times a year. I love that model because it allows them to tweak the recipes of their, not necessarily flagship, but regular beers, so they get better and better every time. Like St. Baron has the mixtape series, the purple, blue, the red. And they're like 2 hops at a time, and they're going to be constantly tweaked to get better and better and better. They're bringing back the Pils, the Two Tails, the Des Moines Hellas, and stuff like that. And then they got a Bar Canada collab coming, I think, soon. They've got this like funny one they did, there's like a ticker beer that's making fun of Untapped, like ISO FT, which is really clever. So that's what I like about them, because they've found their own little groove, and the place itself is beautiful. The vibe is amazing. We had Chris gave us like a cheese and meat plate. It was beautiful. I don't know, just I'm in love with their whole shit. I'm really on their dick. Like I'm such a huge fan.
Love how you say I'm really on their dick, very sincerely and
just
from the heart.
From like,
you know what?
From the asshole, I'm on their dick.
I'm really on their dick.
I gotta be honest, bro. What can I do?
I'm really on their dick.
Oh, this is gonna be on the promo part. This is the 1 minute point. An hour 40. Remember this, Div. All right. On that note,
you wanna jump into CocovalaN?
So,
oh yeah. Anyway, I can talk a bit about the thing that I'm working on with.
Can you talk about that while I take a piss? It's okay. I'm gonna take a quick piss, and then you're talking about the rebrand and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk about your rebrand, how it all came about, what you're doing. I'll be back in 30 seconds. You know the joke.
All right.
So, and also Tiffany says cancelled when you said founders because they're cancelled. So we're not allowed to say the name.
But didn't they redeem themselves in some capacity?
Not really, because do you know why? They never apologized and they settled out of court.
They never apologized.
Never admitted fault. And look, the worst part about that, we went there in 2017. It was our biggest interview to date as far as the largest brewery we've ever interviewed. They treated us like royalty. We met the owner and the head brewer. Like the owner, who's probably worth $100 million now. Head brewer, chill as fuck. They took us around. They sent us home with the 750s of KBS. And I asked them, I said, oh, can I get CBS in Vermont? I'm going to go there. Do you know where I can get it? They sent me out CBS. Like, they were so good to us. And we repped for them real heavy. And when this happened, we were devastated. Because they were just so nice. Yeah. So it's really unfortunate, and I've still got a few of their beers, and I don't check in on Untapped. I don't take pictures of them. I just enjoy them. So that's what all the people, even they're saying fuck founders, they're like, oh, don't pour them out. Drink them, but just don't tell anyone you drink them. I'm like, right. I can do that. Tell us about your rebrand, everything you're doing with your brand, because it's very, very exciting. It's cool to see, because I hadn't seen you do anything this crazy since I've known you, so I love it.
Yeah, I'm pretty slow to the...
well, everything was looking good. There was no need to, right? So now it's like, why not? And I feel like it's a whole new energy around what you're doing. I think it's really exciting. I think this is so fucking cool. So yeah, talk about how that came about. I'll be back in a sec. Yeah,
so about, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or so, I had a friend create my logo. And around the same time, Jacob, who's now the owner of St. Baron, was a graphic designer who I guess was a fan of my site, and he mocked up a sketch, I guess, of kind of like a rebrand for Beerism, and at the time I didn't take him up on it because I had just redone my brand. So anyway, a few weeks ago I was looking for a change, and I remembered that he had done that, and I found it, and I asked him like, hey, would you mind if I ended up using what you had created? And he said, no, not at all. But then he came back to me and he had an idea of having kind of a St. Baron sponsored relaunch. And he suggested that we do a collaboration beer and also create some glassware that we could sell at the brewery. So it's a little sneak peek of the... of the glass. Here, that's better. So I had these created, and now he's gonna be in about a month or so, I guess. We're gonna be selling them hopefully at the brewery. I think that might be the only place to sell them at. I was just saying that we created the glass.
So was the glass actually the collab? part of it, or
No,
was it
so
just
the
like
collab is going to be a beer.
Yes, which I saw. Did you tell people what it is?
No, not yet. It's going to be
You don't have to tell them.
Dry hop. It's fine. Double dry hop New England IPA with Galaxy Nelson Sauvin.
Did you ask my permission to use Galaxy because it's Australian?
I did. He didn't reach out to you?
Well done. No, he didn't.
Oh no, he told me it didn't matter because you were on his dick.
Wow, that was bringing that full circle. Like 2 minutes later. Hey man, well done. You know what? I'm gonna give you that one. You get your automatic permission now. So, okay. So the glassware is. Did you explain how the logo came about?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
I went through the whole thing
Beautiful.
about how he was a graphic designer and he designed this like 5 years ago, and we just never used it until now.
And you didn't use it just because like you didn't need to at the time, right? You just had a new.
It was literally like a couple of months after I had just created the Beerism logo. Before that, I didn't have a logo at all.
Oh, so it was like, and he just did it out of the blue.
Did it for me, who was like kind enough to kind of do it somewhat for free. I gave him some beers at the time or something.
Okay, but why did Jacob do it though? Did you explain that, or you just did it out the blue?
I think he was just a fan of the site, and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to take Beerism to like a more contemporary kind of brand change kind of thing."
Okay. I mean, that's fucking cool that he
But he ended up. So what I did is I hooked him up with Remy and Max from Wild Shack, and he designed their logo. That's him.
I did not know that. Okay. Shouts to Remy and Max.
There.
Yeah, full circle.
Shack House, yeah. That's
cool.
That was Jacob who did that.
Okay. So then, like,
yeah.
Did you talk about how did the collab come about then?
He suggested it as an option. He said, like, why don't we do a Cinquième Baron sponsored relaunch for your brand? And he's like, I don't know if it'll do anything for the brewery, but it'll be fun. And he's like, we can do glasses, and I'll pay for them, and we can just sell them at the brewery. I was like, okay. He sent me some to give to friends.
Okay.
And
I would love one.
For sure. And he let me, like, I chose this glass.
Style of glass. Why did you choose that style?
So, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about doing a Beerism glass forever. I just didn't do it because I was always on the fence. Like, it'd be awesome to choose like a high-end glass company. You know what I mean? Like do like a Spiegelau glass or something. And then I'm like, are people going to spend $25 a glass, or however much I'd have to mark it up for? And then how am I going to sell it? Anyway, it just never ended up coming into fruition. But I always had the idea of doing like a stemless wine glass in some capacity. Largely because it's one of my favorite glasses to drink beer out of. I like drinking beer out of stemmed glasses, but it always carries like a certain level of
fanciness.
I'm not gonna say pretentiousness, but like also like again, lack of a better term, like a daintiness to it, where you're just like you're doing the thing. Whereas
particularly like this one,
beer is a very physical thing. I love drinking beers out of those glasses. Don't get me wrong, I really do, and you see me doing it all the time.
That's a Hill Farm step.
Something. There's something.
There's something to those stemless.
Holding the beer, right? That's why I also really legitimately enjoy drinking beers out of these shakers.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So I feel like this kind of marries the two in the sense that it's also this glass that you can drink almost any style out of.
Yeah.
Like whether it's a stout, pilsner. Like I'd say the one that works the least is probably a lager. But even then, it makes more sense to drink a lager out of this than I'd say the glass that you just showed me. Like, ever drank pilsners out of wine glasses or tikus? It doesn't fly for me.
Yeah.
You're losing that like drinkability of it. Like, I feel like the moment you stick something in a stemmed glassware, the expectation changes. Whereas when you pour something into something that your whole hand wraps around, I feel like it's a different experience. I feel like I'm ranting a bit. I don't know.
No, dude, far from it. I love it. I think it's a really smart. It's a smart move. I love that you're doing the rebrand. I love you're redoing the website. I love that the collab idea is sick because it's probably the first one of the first collabs at Saint Guillaume Baron. They're a new brewery that they've done, so that's a good look.
Yeah, they did Buck Canada, and they did a restaurant. They've done actually a few. They did one a restaurant.
The Poke Place one, that was a good beer too. That was really good.
That was a really good.
I really like that one. Yeah. Fuck. But no, it's really cool, and it's a beautiful can. I'm really proud of you. I'm really happy for you, man. It's fantastic. This is another brewery that you actually connected me with. Super impressed with these guys. Brasserie Générale out of Quebec City. We were there recently with the guys. So Max was your contact. My contact was Pierre Hugo, but his wife was having a baby the day we were there, so I met him. Matt.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they still were in the hospital dealing with it, so I met Max and Sam. We went to the 18e Rue brew pub in Limoilou, which is the hipster area of Quebec City. I fucking love Quebec City, bro.
I've spent very little time.
Oh my god, dude! It was only our second time going. We went in August. We did a campaign with the tourism office, and we did a nice little vlog coming soon on our brand new camera. Where to drink beer in Quebec City. So we went and kicked it with these guys. I wish we got to stay longer, but we went to the brew pub, not the actual brewery, which is somewhere north of the city. Brew pub was beautiful, super cool. The haze was fire. They left us with a bunch of beers. Everything I had was exceptional. And this is one of the 7 beers they brewed, which is in the photo right behind you, up front, actually. From there, look at that. Yeah, get the fuck out the way. That was great.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. From their 7th anniversary stash of beers. And this is a 7% sweet stout with coconut, vanilla, and Noah, lactose. Hashtag Team Lactose all fucking day. Noah's a part of it. I don't care what he says. Yeah, man, I'm going to take a photo because I only got one of these. I have to review it. But what did I have the other night? Oh, I had the IPA, Reverbear or some shit. It was really good. Oh, look at that flick, mate. What a fucking beaut. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so nose is very, like, milk stouty. Doesn't smell super pastry because it's only 7%.
I don't know what they were going for.
Oh, shit.
I
nice.
dig it.
Oh, wow. That's great.
It doesn't hit that, like, crazy Buck Canada thing.
No.
Buck Canada manages to, like, I don't know. Their beers smell like literal dessert. Whereas in this is far more of an actual beer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is great. Oh my gosh. The vanilla is really strong.
Body's nice on it. Yeah. It's good.
Mm.
The coconut's more subtle than what like Buck Canada does.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing either.
No. At 7%, I'm not gonna lie, I had I'm not gonna say who it was. I had around 6-ish% stout last night from a brewery that I got. Don't want to mention it, but I had to drain half of it. It was too thin, and just nothing going on for a stout. This is giving me the complete opposite of that. This is ballsy. This is like, does it have coffee? I feel like it needs that. I feel like it's got coffee in it or something. And it's not overly sweet either. Sometimes lactose, obviously we joke about it and stuff, but when lactose is too much, it ruins beers.
Well, I used to really dislike sweet stouts even before it became a thing. But the new, like, I feel like the new wave of sweet stouts, although it is sweet, there's like an ability to balance it better these days, I find.
Yeah. Oh, this is great, man. I really like this.
Yeah, solid.
Very, very impressed.
Good job.
Well done. So yeah, Brasserie Générale also, speaking of rebrands, did a rebrand. They call themselves BG Brasserie Urbaine. They don't even say Brasserie Générale. Because look, to be honest, Brasserie Générale isn't the greatest name. I'm sure. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get them mixed up with somebody else, so many others that had like similarly generic.
So the names in there, right? It's.
So yeah, they've rebranded with their logo. They're using a new illustrator on all their cans, and it says on the back, it's Romain Lassé. I think it's an agency. Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's a person.
I feel like breweries don't use
chatting with him, quite a lot yesterday about all these beers. He got me really excited to try the I guess we could just call it a barrel-aged sour that they released.
The sour looks sick. And they did a stout. It was a stout and a sour, right? The 2 bottles behind you on the photo there. The one on the right.
One's like a big-ass pastry stout, and one's like a blended barrel-aged sour thing. It's a Berliner Weiss done in gin barrels.
Oof. So I have another. Oh no, I have. Is it?
He was really proud of it. What's that?
I have another can of theirs that's a Berliner Weiss done in gin barrels that they gave me.
Really?
Yeah, and they gave me 2 cans of it. So I had one. I'm going to do a 1-minute review on the other one because I was really impressed with it. So maybe it's like a ballsier version of that one. I forgot what it's called.
What did it have like a logo on it and everything?
Yeah, it was like these weird other ones. There were sort of these strange beers that didn't look like their branding wasn't as cohesive as all these new ones are. This new branding is leagues above like a month ago when I was there. So I must have got the last shit from the old branding.
Oh, I thought you meant on what you just got.
Oh no, I got the same as you. Everything behind you, I got the 7 beers, the 5 cans, the 2 bottles. So I've had now it's the second can. I'm glad we got to talk about it on the podcast. It gives them a bit of extra love because I really want to support them. We were really impressed with them as people. We didn't want to leave. The food at the brewery looked amazing. The vibe was hella cool. All the beers we had, I think Tiff had like a nitro brown ale that was a collab with a local coffee roaster.
Nice.
That was super fire. I had their the one that you had, the something on hop. Got the word hop in it. Not the New Kids on the Hops. There was another one.
Oh, it's another play on.
It had the
song.
bus or something on it. Wasn't it a bus?
I like big hops.
There you go. That shit was fire, man. It was so bright and so milky and creamy. It was a beautiful beer.
And that one they just scaled up too, because what he was telling me is they have their brew pub or whatever where they can just do small batches, and they can those like baby cans there with the kind of like more generic-y labels.
Yes.
And then they had the bigger brand, and so I think I've already forgotten the name. We just said it. I like Big Hops was the first New England
that they did.
Maybe not the first New England, but
no,
like
it was Zell. I think Zell was the first. Oh, they scaled up. Okay, because Zell, you told me about. So you connected with them maybe a few months ago, and you were like, "Yo, this is like
they're double,
they're double IPA." And then they gave me a couple cans of that, and I drank it in Gaspé, and I was like, "Fucking hell, man!" Because I had the like Big Hops, and I was like, "Yo, this is great." And then I had the Zell and Gaspé when we were out there, and I was like, "All right, this is some shit right here." You were not boosting at all.
No, it's super solid, and I feel like they have their own thing too. It's hard to explain. Like I feel like this isn't sweet at all. This is kind of perfect, but
this is brilliant.
I feel like their IPAs tend to be slightly on the sweeter side, but I don't even mean that in an overly critical way. Sometimes I like having a more rounded profile. I don't know about you, but like Zale, is it Zale? Anyway, that one. Zell. Yeah, it is a touch sweet, but it's so zesty that it really works. Yeah. Like to be honest, some of the Bach Canada doubles are sweet to a cloying degree, and this one isn't. It's like a fun level of sweetness, if that makes any sense.
That's a great positioning for it, and I couldn't agree more. And so I'm really excited for that New Kids on the Hops. I think that's their double. And there was
growing. This is really nice.
Yeah, this is honestly like every sip, I'm like, wow, this is getting better. I'm so impressed. So the brewery that he was telling you about, the one at the actual pub, it's very clever. So it literally at the very back of the pub, like near the bathroom type of thing, and it's tiny. I'm talking like, I don't know. I guess you don't know this. It's like the size of my kitchen, tiny, and they've got just like 3 or 4 fermenters. Then you go up these stairs, and there's a mezzanine. So it's like really high ceiling because it's in the bottom of a condo building, like a brand new condo building. On the way into the main street, the Linwalu. We didn't get to really check it out, unfortunately. We came back because that's where Emporium was, so I would have, it was a choice between going back to Générale for dinner or going to Emporium because we had to video there, so we went to Emporium because we didn't have a choice. It's the only problem with the content stuff. You don't get to kind of like soak it up like you wanted. But like, it was just so clever the way they set it up. Very, very cool. They would have had a really smart designer to be able to design the volume that they're able to produce in that little space. And then
have you released that podcast yet?
No. So it's a vlog. So the problem was we had a vlog from... So you know how we do the Where to Drink craft beer in X? Yep. So we did San Francisco or the Bay Area, whatever, in December. Have not released it. We just got busy. Then we filmed Vermont in February when we were there. Where to Drink craft beer in Vermont, the first version. We did like 8 places, which was pretty cool. And we did that as like a teaser to work with the tourism office. We were talking to them. And then... the week after, because we went to Vermont 6th, 7th, 8th of March, March 13th, we did a collab with Wood Brothers, and that was the day when things were a bit weird. Like, can we shake hands? Like, what do we do? And then March 13th, 15th, so I think on the Monday, then everything was locked down. So we did release.
The Wood Brothers thing was right
before. Right.
I remember I decided not to go.
Yeah, and so did Nate. So, yeah, because it was a little bit of a strange time. Me and just Tiff and I and Chris went. We also shot. We did a collab, which we did drop though with. It's called City Brews Tours. We did Where to Drink Craft Beer in Montreal Part 2.
Yes,
we did
I saw
first
that.
part. Yeah, so Tiff edited that recently because we hit them up right after. We were going to drop it pretty soon, and they were like, "Yeah, we're out of business for a bit, so don't waste the time." It was kind of weird because it was like pissing down snow. It was like February when we did it on that day, so we didn't want to drop it in July or something. So we ended up dropping it. I don't know, last month, September, I think. So we still have 3 more videos. Oh, and then when we went to, then all the cases went down. So we're like, we would normally go somewhere. I was kind of going a bit crazy. I'm like, I just want to kind of get away a little bit. We were super busy. But we were like, all right, fuck it. So we went to Quebec City because all the cases were basically none there at the time. Now they're crazy. Which Brian at Noctem told me it was going to get crazy because they have a huge right-wing anti-mask population there, and that's why they fucked it up, he said. Yeah. Couldn't believe it.
But it got crazy here, and we don't... Well, I guess there was some here too.
A little bit, but I think it was more volume of people and private gatherings is my guess. Because I thought it was schools and gyms and stuff, but it doesn't seem to be that as much. I think it's more the private gatherings where people just don't have any protection and they're probably drinking, getting high or whatever, and then spitting and whatever. We went to Quebec City. We did Where to Drink Craft Beer in Quebec City. That was a tourism board collaboration, and we went there. That was fantastic. And then we went to Gaspé to try and get away for like 5 days and just see a different part of Quebec and brave the French, and it worked out really well. And we did a second one called Where to Drink Craft Beer in Eastern Quebec. So we went to Rallebach, fucking Pit Caribou, Orval, a bunch of other places up there. We kind of did that. We didn't do as many as we thought, but I did that one. We didn't contact anybody. We just went and paid. And we're like, fuck it. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm trying to chill. So I don't want to rock up when I want to rock up. Tiff did some B-roll. I did some talking. Boom, boom. That's it. So yeah, we have a few more of those coming. Those are super fun. Cool. Yeah, man. They're a good piece of content. People like them a lot. And I like them almost more than doing the podcast. Like, podcasts are much more work because you got to have these long form conversations with people in the environment. Got to make sure blah blah blah. Tiff's got to go and do a million things. Take care of this camera. She's got to go get B-roll. Got to make sure we take the photos. It's just so many moving parts to it. It's actually almost nice to do like this way because it's like
I was gonna say like the remote thing is kind of a blessing, sort of, or a silver lining to a certain degree.
It's allowed us to do stuff like, I think you've even mentioned it to me before, why don't you just get them on Skype? I'm like, I fucking hated this. This is not optimal at all. But the best part about the pandemic is that it forced us to have to do it this way. And it's not really...
Well, it's become the new norm, so it's kind of okay to do
Exactly, because the quality that we would lose, because you don't have it just for people who know how this works. Normally what I would do, say if... it was just me and Tiff doing the podcast here. We'd go live on YouTube and we'd have a microphone in front of me, and then we would wear the headphones, and then we would use this microphone just for the audio. So the audio sounds perfect, and then on the live it sounds good, and then we're good to go. For you and me, you don't have a microphone on your side, so I actually take the audio directly from this feed. Now, it's pretty good. It's not perfect though, because you still hear that Skype on the YouTube video. It doesn't sound weird. When you just hear the audio, it does sound a little Skypey, which personally as a podcast listener I never liked before, but everyone's used to it now because what other alternative do we have? So it's kind of cool.
To like Tig Notaro on Conan or something, and like
they're Skyping
it's like cutting out, right? So
the expectations of
billionaires or whatever, I don't know, these professional type situations where
that are well funded.
Yeah,
they don't have
exactly before. Like what you're putting out looks better. Like for a while, it was looking better than like the late night show. You know?
Yeah, seriously.
Like now that they're in studio, it's a bit different or whatever. But at the beginning,
yeah, it's a total different thing.
I don't know. I feel like they were doing it on purpose to a certain degree. I don't know.
To make it bad? To get people used to it? Maybe. No.
It didn't make sense to me how they couldn't just ship a bunch of high-end equipment to someone's house. And just, I
actually have a thought about that. I'm looking at my camera. Nothing's going to stop, but my camera's flashing. I don't know if the second battery's full, but I want to take the thumbnail while that's on, just in case. If it goes, I just switch to my FaceTime camera. When we do the thumbnail, I just want to hold up what we've drank so far, so we can do it just for the people down. You know what I'm saying? Give them a bit of love. There we go.
Both of us? You're good.
Yeah, of course. Command Shift 4. There we go. Ready? Oh, look at us. That's actually really cool. I'm really happy that we got to get both the same stuff. Yeah. So, an interesting thing, Tiff actually did a live video with Facebook for Business on their fan page with 16 million likes. And
16 million?
16 million. And they shipped a fucking a suitcase full of equipment here. So they shipped, even though technically the funny part about it was, from what they shipped, our camera, this is a DSLR camera, pretty expensive, like it's better than what they shipped. I'm like, we have the shit, fam, like it's good, but they still ship. They shipped a laptop, a webcam, a fucking lights, like all of this stuff, all of this audio equipment. There was stuff everywhere. It was hilarious. So Tiff and I, now we saw that and we thought, guys, come on, relax. Like, we have the lights, we have the stuff. Like, we do this. This is what we do.
Exactly.
But that's what they do for all their guests. Pardon?
They had a router that was like...
It was a thing that plugs into your router to expand the Wi-Fi, so the Wi-Fi didn't fuck up. But the cool thing that we realized about it was after we saw other ones that they did that didn't have that level of attention, we're like, oh, I get it. But then it also made us question, like, why... God, I got the hiccups. Why don't these, like you said, these late night shows who have budget send the same thing? If Facebook can do it, send the same thing. If you're NBC, send it to fucking Tom Cruise and whatever and set it up. Like, it's not that difficult. And it wasn't that hard to set up. They gave you all the instructions. There was a tech team that had a call with Tiff. They made to move the computer around to decide which part of the room she was going to show. And we clean it up and make it good. Like, it was actually pretty cool to see. So you ask a valued question, like, why don't they do that? And then we're like, our little beer podcast looks nicer than a late night talk show. Like, that's ridiculous to me. It just shouldn't, because we saw what Facebook could do. So yeah, it's kind of strange. But the good thing about this is that now, instead of being able, speaking of that, see, the camera just died. You can hear me, but the camera died.
I can still see you.
You can still see me because you're not looking at what I'm looking at. I'm gonna.
You mind if I run to the bathroom?
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to explain. Here we go. There we go. Back to FaceTime camera. So, what was I just saying? What was I saying? I can't even remember now. Remember what I just said?
Late night shows.
Late night shows.
I do honestly watch Jesus and Meryl sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like, how come? Like, what's happening here on the
Why
other
is that
side?
shit
Like
no
your
good?
showtime.
Yeah.
Why aren't you sending your guests ahead of time? Like,
The same stuff, right?
So I'm wondering why they don't send the same equipment to those people.
It makes no sense. Like, I don't know why if we can do it, they can't do it.
I'm like, oh, you know how it would be a great version of this podcast?
What's that?
We could send everyone mics.
Yeah,
so the mics are great.
I would
do an
love
A/B
that.
test ahead of time.
Yep.
And then be like, let me check your background. All right, looking good. Let me check your audio. All right, sounding lovely.
So we need a sponsor. If anyone wants, maybe Zoom.
We need audio.
Zoom,
we need to hire an audio visual specialist.
Or maybe Zoom could sponsor us.
We need Zoom to sponsor.
Zoom, the microphone
and
company,
we also
not Zoom,
the person
software.
who does the camera. Someone who does cameras.
Even just GoPro.
And then you send
if you send someone a GoPro, they can plug into their laptop. Everyone have a laptop or a computer. Plug it in. Only one time on the TMF, we have another podcast called Bad Habits, so check that out. One time on there, we had a guest, actually last week, and he was using his phone the whole time, and it worked well. I couldn't believe it, because normally phones are fucked. I was like, yo, use a computer if you can, and he just used his phone still. He didn't really listen to me.
We had terrible audio.
From, you're talking BAOS, I'm talking Bad Habits. Bad Habits wasn't bad.
Yeah, he was using his phone.
He was using his phone. It actually worked out well. Last week we had a great podcast, and we were so upset because the audio was fucked for the first 18 minutes.
Yeah.
it was super, super frustrating. So we're hoping that doesn't happen again. We're just talking like we should start, if we get a sponsor, to start sending people out like a package that has everything you need, like a microphone, a little GoPro or something to plug into your computer. You know what I mean? So cool. that would be dope. It would provide. The problem with this though is that like all of what I've been doing for this entire time of quarantine is on a whim. Like I'm talking to someone, I'm like, hey, fuck, you should be on the podcast, man. Like I'm not like sitting here like strategizing 3 months ahead, being like, all right, we need to get this. But like people just hit me up. I'm like, I don't. You want to be on? Fuck, let's do it. Because people want to send me beer, and I'll be like, fuck, I should have you on, man. Like let's come through.
Because I think it even though you've been doing this for so long, it's still not sinking in that you can
do anything.
Just get whoever you want anytime, pretty much, assuming they're interested.
Yeah, I just don't. I was gonna say I don't care. It's not true. I'm not like super thought out with it right now because I'm sort of. We didn't want to commit to this way of doing it so hard because we just the worst part. We just restructured the way we did the podcast.
Yeah.
With the new seasons, and we only got 2/3 of the way through, and we had an interview with Bar Canada and an interview with Boreal on the first week of lockdown. We had both those interviews locked in. They cancelled them.
We were debating whether or not to do it.
Well, Boreal cancelled first, and then I hit up a Bar Canada. I didn't hear from him. I'm like, yo, bro, what's the deal? And he's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do it. I'm like, yeah, cool. So I've got two choices. I could do it over Skype with them, or I could just wait until everything's okay again and then finish the season off, that first season. That's why I just moved. That was season 7. Season 8 was going to be called Building a Brewery, and we actually filmed one episode with Overhop as they were building it, and then COVID happened, and then we couldn't keep going back to film the other episodes. So that one scrapped.
Have to work with that. Well, you don't have to scrap it. Couldn't you do like?
I could do like a 2-episode season
before and after.
Before and after. Yeah, I guess we could, and then that's the season 8, I guess, because we kept season 8 open for that, and then maybe we could actually, and then just do one big long episode instead with their new team, because then they've got their brewer. Because I wanted to like capture the whole process, you know, and they're our friends.
Exactly.
So I was like, oh, this is perfect. We get to like document them and do the whole shit, but like we kind of missed out. So I was a little bit upset about that, but. This has been kind of cool. So I've targeted a few people. Like I got Weathered Souls on from the Black is Beautiful beer. That was targeted.
Right.
That was a lot of
awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. Just to hear.
I didn't have a chance to watch that or listen to that.
He was super cool, man, Marcus. Because he just gave us the whole perspective on everything, and he was obviously in the middle of like a media blitz because the beer was taking off and everything was happening for them.
He probably didn't expect it to.
No, he had no idea. Not at all. He said it was the guy from Jester King told him to do it. He was just going to do the one time. He was like, you should do a fucking collab beer, make it like the other half type of thing. And he was like, I don't know. And he talked him into it, and then bam. So now they're on the map because of it. He said they damn near doubled their followers, and their social media person's going crazy. And you know,
yeah, I know that name. Yeah. It's in every second post on social media right now.
Which is a beautiful thing. But yeah, I just haven't really seemed to target. Like everything, like tonight, like I said, the brewery that was supposed to happen fell through. You was going to co-host anyway. We were already talking. The beer didn't arrive, so it wouldn't have happened. So I was like, let's just fucking have a chat. We haven't had a chat for ages. So, like, I kind of like it this way because I think you always knew that you said to me, that must be like a bunch of stress doing this. I'm like, yo, the podcast, it's a lot of work, man. It's a fuck ton of work. And this makes it so much less work because the live is the video portion, right? So there's no editing. It's just raw. The podcast has always been raw. We never edit it anyway. I take the audio, my brother makes it pretty, and like I slap the intro on there and whatever. So that still happens, and he kind of makes it sound better. But like, it's an easier process for me now, and I enjoy it. I don't have to overly think. I'm booked up to like mid-November already, and I wasn't trying at all. It's just I keep talking to people like, oh, you want to do it? Boom, you're going to co-host a bunch of those with me. So like, it's. You know, I want to do that more because it's like fun. So maybe we should, like, we talked about it ages ago, but we never really followed up on it. So maybe we should. Like, I like that more because
I think we need to get Alex from Sean Ebon.
I would love to do that if you could do the same thing and you make sure we're drinking.
And I don't know how DL it is, but he's having I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but he's having a release soon bunch of new beers. So it'd be fun to.
Want to get a group chat going? Let's get a group chat going.
Yeah, we can talk about it offline.
I'd love
to.
Whatever, yeah. I'd love to chat. I've never met Alex in person, or I've spoken to him a little bit here and there, but mostly publicly, and it was always kind of jokey and mostly about lactose. I'm just kind of giving him shit because he doesn't like it, and I feel like it's too much giving shit. I'd like to actually talk to him like for real. And I don't want him to think I'm ever making fun of him or anything because it's all in like good fun, but I don't know him like that to do the lactose joke, so I hope that he doesn't think I'm a dick or anything, but he's always super supportive whenever I post about his stuff, and I enjoy his work. So,
he's funny. Like, so, no, I won't say it because I think it's still a secret. But okay. I'll tell you offline. It's a funny kind of thing we had back and forth about lactose.
Nice. He's still team lactose from the buttermilk. Saison. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna call the episode Team Lactose. He's gonna be so mad. Lactopolis Part 2. Beer? Dude, it's fucking amazing. I almost feel like I just want to take my time and sip this and not even go to the last one we had planned, but maybe we should. This is It's so brilliant. I'm so impressed with Brasserie Générale, man. Max is doing a great job. I'm not sure who the brewer is out at the big facility. I think Max runs the smaller one. I know Sam runs the big facility. Sam looks like you, big beard. Top dude. He's the guy who runs the social. So if you're probably speaking to people on Instagram, it's Sam. And I think I'm not sure who runs their Facebook, but I know I was speaking to Pierre separately on a separate thing. I should check in with him, actually. I wonder if he's probably
Well, it was weird how I ended up connecting with them. Because I had, like, back in the day, I had received, like, typical PR style packages from them.
Okay.
Because they've been doing some solid stuff for a couple of years now. Like, they had they have, like, a pale ale called Izzy. I don't know if you've ever had Izzy.
I've seen it, but I haven't had it.
It's great. Yeah. And it was great back when there wasn't a Messorem or a
Is it haze?
Sir John or anything like. Yeah, it was like a hazy pale ale.
Oh, okay.
And it was good. And so, like, I would get a random 4-pack of that from them, or a couple other things. Some stuff I didn't love, some stuff I thought was quite good. But then he randomly messaged me one day just saying, like, I don't usually reach out, but I wanted to reach out to you. I wanted to send you some stuff to try. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he sent like a solid lineup of everything. Like some of the stuff from the bigger facility and some of the stuff from the brew pub. And I was like, I'm not gonna say I wasn't I'll say I wasn't expecting to be quite as impressed.
Yeah.
Especially with the hops.
Hops.
I was like, damn, it's good. But even like there was an American lager style lager in there, and it was awesome.
Okay.
They had a pastry stout that was pretty good. It wasn't mind blowing. This is better.
Yeah.
So like clearly,
I'm enjoying this so much. I'm gonna message him after this and thank him. It's just fucking fire, bro.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. Okay, that's dope. I guess you was at the time when you sent the photo and you were like, hey man, these guys sent this shit. That was probably like 6 months ago. And you were like,
yeah.
And I think it had the original Zell in it, and you were saying the photo, and you're like, yo, this is good. Like, and you were like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Did they send you any of their Russian Imperial stouts? They have a whole line of them.
Yes.
Yeah? Were they good? Sam was telling me about them.
They're very good.
They look cool.
So there's bourbon barrel aged, whiskey. Cognac, I think it's a peaty whiskey. It's a
smoky shit.
But it wasn't that smoky.
Nice.
I don't remember if it was Speyside or it wasn't Islay, which is like the really peaty stuff. But it was like it was a whiskey, and then they have a tequila one. I haven't tried the tequila one yet.
Okay.
The other two were great.
It's cool. I love hearing that. See, that's like a cool story to me. Where they sort of just do their switch up, because it's like they switched up the styles and got better, and then like 6 months later they changed the branding, and now the branding is cool and matching. So I didn't get to hang out in the area, but Limoilou is the Mireland of Quebec City. So he was saying that's where all the third wave cafes are. Emporium, these guys. There was another brewery they kept telling me about that had a long name and I forgot what it was, but they did some collabs with them. That Nitro Brown Ale was a collab with that brewery, and I think it was Nectar Coffee, and I'm going to order from them next time I need it. But I keep getting sucked in from Structure here in Montreal. They had like 2 fire, one that like tastes like cream soda and something else. I was like, oh fuck, I'm getting that, aren't I? Like
Structure, eh?
Structure on my bro. I would highly recommend it. Free delivery in Quebec and Ontario. They're in McGill, downtown in Old Port, Montreal.
Oh, I think Jenny, because Jenny works at McGill. I think that's the one she goes to. But we haven't ordered from them.
Oh, bro, I would highly recommend. This is how crazy it was.
Though, I would assume.
No, like $19 to $24 for a solid. I think it's like 500 grams.
That's still something, man.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad for third wave local shit. Like that's regular price. Do you know what's really expensive? Is Saint Henri. They reduced the size to like 250 grams. The average one's about 350, sometimes more.
Okay, yeah. So I think I usually spend like 15 to 16, 17 for a 350.
On who do you get from?
I like Detour. We order a lot from the Montreal one. Shit.
Zab?
No.
What does it look like? I know them all. I'm a coffee nerd. No, I want like a coffee podcast.
It's like a purple design. High. It's like a high. It's like
the high pack.
Higher.
Kohu.
Bag.
Kohi. What color is the bag? The bag is purple.
It's purple and white.
Purple and
or
white.
Blue and white.
Kittel.
It's
not the Vancouver 49th parallel, is it?
No, it's not 49th parallel. I know them.
Purple. I got cocky. I got a little too. No, it's not Structure. What's a purple and white bag from Montreal? Yeah, I couldn't think of it either.
Pilot. That's Toronto.
Well, that's Toronto. No, because you say Montreal.
Pilot?
No, Pilot's from Toronto. Literally next door
but it's
to
everywhere in Montreal.
It's everywhere in Montreal now. Pilot's fucking great too. Structure, I don't find them expensive, but I get all their email things and they always fucking get me. Like I was ready to order from Nectar. And then they sent the email and they had these 2 new coffees that said one was taste like apple pie, one was cream soda. I'm like, fuck you. All right, I'll order it. And I think I picked it up yesterday, right? I'm in the, so we live in the building, as you know, you've been there. I'm going downstairs. I'm wearing my mask because it's inside. I'm responsible. I pick it up. I'm holding the packet, so it's wrapped in a packaging bag, and then the coffee bags are inside that, and I have a mask on. I could smell the beans through the 2 layers of bags and my mask. And I just sent another. But my favorite thing in the world, if people do shit for me, I send them a bag of Structure. That's generally what it is. Like my friend Zach here, shouts to Zach. He sent me some bolts. There's the special type of bolts that let me do the shelf thing. He had he's a tradie, so I didn't know what the fuck to do because he fixed something for us one time. I'm like, yo, what do I need? And he sent them to me, and I realized he never billed me. So I hit him up the other day, and bro, you never fucking billed me. Let me send you some coffee. So you find it? Oh no, okay. And I sent him the coffee, and he was like, oh my god, bro, this smells amazing. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. So it's like, they are the best smelling beans I've ever smelled. I would highly recommend, even if you try one bag, because there's no shipping. And I always buy the high-priced one. It's the equivalent of the small batch shit that they release once off. But if you get their regular shit that they always have, it's probably $19-20.
For how many?
I'd have to go check the packet, but I think it's like... let me check it. Do you know what? I can check right fucking now. Structure. Oh, I would go straight to my cart because it knows your cart is currently empty. For now, it is $18.52. The main one is $19.50. For free shipping Ontario, Quebec until COVID-19. It's the greatest thing in the world to me. This one is 340 grams, 12 ounces. And that tastes like dark chocolate molasses and round. I know, I guess it's just like a balanced thing. So $19.50 for 340 grams. So is it more expensive than probably what you get? I'd say so, but that's the regular one versus say the smaller batch stuff. And I only get the small batch stuff because I've tried all the other ones, so I'm only interested in new shit with coffee all the time, and they keep dropping these random ones that just smell insane. I don't know what they do, but they get the best smelling beans, and it's crazy. Another one that's really affordable is Faro. They're from Sherbrooke. Have you had them?
No.
They are in supermarkets now, and surprisingly, it's really, really good. So we discovered them accidentally in Sherbrooke when we did a tourism thing a couple of years ago, and then for some reason they hit Tiff up, and they opened up a store on St. Catherine in Montreal near Guy, and they hit her up to come to the launch, and we went to the launch, and then they had a fucking coffee collab beer with Cibois there on tap at their launch, and they used the cascara, like the actual coffee cherries, to make this beer. And the dude, I was talking to the owner's son, and he was there, and we were just having, and they were mad cool. And now their stuff is in Provigo and all across supermarkets, and they also have small batch stuff. And they sent Tiff a couple of bags recently. And the thing is, they don't smell great, but their bags are 500 grams, so they're like the one. They're not like the little one. They're like, like tall. 500 grams, and they don't smell great at all, but they taste fantastic. It's really fun. Like, I'm looking at them like real sus, because I'm a real coffee snob. Like, I'm probably equally coffee snobby than I am with beer, and been having them in pour overs, French press, like espresso and stuff, and it's great. But that's like the affordable one. If you're not trying to spend too much, I think Fire is the best local option for affordable stuff, because Detour is from Toronto. Shouts to Toronto.
Yes, I like Detour a lot, and I find their prices are a bit more reasonable than some of the others.
I was really surprised when Saint Henri kept, I don't know if they adjusted their prices, but they went down to that 250 gram bag, and they went to these beautiful like green bags with all gold writings, and they just looked fancy as fuck. And Saint Henri beans are fire, and they're everywhere too. They got a Quebec City cafe and stuff, but yeah, I find it just a little too pricey. I've been trying to try different places, so I've been ordering from. There's one of my favorite cafes. I got two favorite cafes. The one called Cafe in Gamba, and the other one's called The Standard here. The Standard, and there's like they got like 4 or 5. Gamba's got 2 places, and they have a variety of roasters. Gamba has the same ones typically: Intelligentsia, Counterculture. They get Structure. That's how I discovered Structure. They get Detour as well. They do Saint Henri, shit like that. But then the Standard, they hit me up the other day asking me about import companies because they want to sell non-alcoholic beers. So I gave them Pivo. They were already talking to Vitriol, and they already had stuff from Vitriol. They had the Brewdog. Funny, the other dude was asking before, so they had the Brewdog.
McKellar too, maybe?
And McKellar, yep. They had those two. And I told them, I actually sent them your photo. I went to your thing, I sent them your photo. And this is my friend's shit. They're doing these 3 known ones from Denmark, so you should check them out. And I sent them Le Bock Ale as well to get local non-alcoholic stuff to keep that in there, so I hope they stock them. But they bring in some crazy shit. My favorite shit, when we were in San Francisco in December, I discovered, we stayed, have you been to San Francisco?
No. We
stayed in the Mission. I've been there a few times. I hated it. This time I fucking loved it because we were staying in shit places every other time. We're staying downtown, these whack ass. It's like staying in St. Catharines and thinking Montreal's dope. Okay. You hate Montreal if you stay down there. Right. I was staying in downtown, so this time we stayed in an area called the Mission, which is kind of hipster Mexican-y type of area. And I discovered this cafe called Ritual, and I didn't know it was that fire. I was going there every day. Like Tiff would be getting ready, I'd be like, "Cool, go grab us a coffee real quick." They had some fire donuts, and I bought a bag when we left, and they've been getting Ritual in. So I've been buying the Ritual stuff that I discovered last year. They get in Halo from Toronto. Halo are amazing. No, not Halo. Hale, Hale. Sorry. Halo is a brewery in Toronto.
Right, yeah.
They get Quietly, which is another one. They hit me up the other day because the lady, got a bit of a relationship with them now. I've been really trying to meet coffee people. I really want a coffee podcast.
You got to do a coffee podcast.
I want one. I just don't have the time right now, but I told Tiff, like, I want to basically have like 6 podcasts a week, man. This is what I want to do this forever. I love this shit.
Well, it's easier from home.
It's easier from home, and I just find I could talk about all these different subjects. The problem is I know dick all about coffee, so it's almost like I'd have to have I guess I could just interview them, and I can ask my dumb questions in the same way I did beer, and maybe it'll work out. I'm not sure what the coffee people do. I subscribe to a few coffee podcasts, but they're like entrepreneurial versus what we do here.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, the Standard get in some really, fun stuff that you can't get anywhere else. They do their own beans now, which is great. But because there's this place, my friend in Ottawa works at, obviously your West family's up in Ottawa. There's a place called Arlington 5 downtown, just off Bank. Okay. And it's like a little cafe / sandwich place. Literally the next block from Flora Hall. Literally. Okay. Like you can see it from their back window. They, my boy is like the manager there. And he, what was my point? I totally forgot. Coffee. It's only 3 beers in. I'm not even drunk. What the fuck am I forgetting shit for?
Maybe we are.
Maybe we are. Pull it back. What was I saying? Anyway, there was probably a point to it. Ottawa, Arlington.
Well, your buddy worked at a...
He works at the coffee joint, though. What was the specific thing of saying... Why was I saying that? What were we saying right before then? What standard stock... well, that's a great place in Ottawa. He taught me about a lot of stuff. Oh, so he told me about there's I guess like a contract roasting place in Ottawa, in Montreal, literally next to Messorem on St. Patrick, one of the buildings there. And what they do, that's what I was saying, that the standard roast their own beans there. I think because basically you can pay these people and you can just roast your own shit. So say if we wanted to do a roast and put and release it, we could just pay them for a batch, and then they do the batch for us and we just sell the bags. It's fucking That's cool. So I think they're doing shit like that. So he told me about them because there's one who I think roasts out of there called Rabbit Hole, and they are fucking fire, bro. Rabbit Hole are crazy.
It surprises me that I don't think Messorem has even done a single beer that had coffee in it.
Maybe the Christmas stout. The clear bottle one that I forgot the name of. It started with C last year. That was.
I don't think it does.
No,
it was good. I don't think it does coffee.
Oh, maybe you're right. I think it had coconut and vanilla. I think you're right. But yeah, it's right next door, and they do crazy shit. So it's like you can do. But I think you if I hit them up, I could be like, "Yo, I need 50 bags or whatever," and you make I don't know if they you have to make your brand elsewhere, and you make the packaging. And then be get the packaging sent to them, then they can help you sort the roast out or whatever the fuck. Or you have to do it in large. I'm not sure how it works, but I think it's cool. The coffee world is fascinating. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about it.
No, it's just...
But Jenny's cousin has been in the coffee scene for decades.
As a part of it? Working in it?
Genius in that world. I don't know if he's still working in it, but he owned a cafe in Ottawa early on, and then he moved and created a coffee spot in PEI, and then he opened a roastery, and he's one of those hyper intellectual types who just gets so nerdy into stuff that it's on a whole other level.
No.
Tried talking to him about coffee, but then within 5 seconds he's on a whole other plane of existence.
The coffee, when you actually talk to the real coffee people, it's because you and I could talk to an average beer person and we wouldn't be dropping crazy words on them and make them feel dumb or it's not that serious. But the coffee people, when they start getting real, I'm I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And they talk my friend Kyle, the guy at Arlington, I don't know what he says half the time. He talks to me like he's probably talking to his coffee friends. I'm I thought I was pretty well versed. I don't think I'm well versed at all because he's just dropping these words I listened to this one podcast called Cat and Cloud. It's a cafe in a series of cafe in Santa Cruz in California, and the way they always talk, you send your staff back to origin. So that means going to Ethiopia or going to South America or going to where they grew the beans and making sure they're ethically sourced and that the farmers are getting paid well, because the farmers are the ones who get fucked by the middlemen and stuff. So all these different terms and it's very complex. I think it's even arguably nerdier than beer. As far as, 'cause I feel like beer, a dumbass, I'm not a sciencey type of dude. I imagine you're not either that much.
The fact that you said sciencey kind of shows me that you're not a sciencey dude.
It's a miracle I even know what these brewers are saying to me. I have no idea. Most of the time I'm like, what? Matt? What's the most common brewer or beer or brewery owner name that you've encountered across the board? Mine is Matt. There's always a Matt. Always. Secondly,
you'd know better than me. You that's what you do. You
Matt,
go out and talk to owners.
That's true. There's usually,
but that
I say,
makes sense. There are definitely a lot of Mets, but I mostly talk to Quebecers, and there's not a lot of there's a lot of Mets here. So
I'm thinking that Tiff, what would you say the most common brewery owners are? I know we know Matt is the number one. There's always a Matt.
There's always a Matt. There's always a Mark.
There's always a Mark. Mike.
And
Steve.
then are we doing Quebec edition?
Let's do Quebec edition. Tiff might have some.
Jean-Pierre, Jean-Philippe,
Jean-François.
There's always like a J.
There's like a hyphenated Jean someone.
Right. It's hilarious.
Then with if we're going back to Anglophones, I feel like there's often Mike, Mark, and Matt for sure. There's definitely a few Steves. I reckon we get a bunch of Johns.
Yeah.
Maybe occasional Pauls here and there. But Matt or Matthew is Paul. Paul.
Oh, Paul.
Paul, mate. It's fucking Paul, cunt.
You say Paul?
Paul. I don't know. I'm from a very strange place, mate.
It's probably no coincidence that those are just the most common white names, and it's an overwhelmingly white industry, so it just kind of made sense that would align.
It kind of does. But Matt is really funny to me.
Matt is the number one.
Matt is hilarious because every time I'm like, the owner's name is Matt. I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Like, even in Quebec, because there's like a lot of Matts, I'm like, it's just, it's non-stop. I don't know why. It just keeps being Matt. It's just like, I feel like if you got a kid, you're going to name him Matt, they're going to be a fucking good brewer.
You should tweet like most common brewer name.
Yeah. Oh, I should actually do a poll or something like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe not right
Paul
now.
Or a poll?
Poll, a poll, not a poll. There's a poll and there's a poll. We're going to do a poll and see how many polls there are.
All right, I'm following now.
You get me? It's very complicated. You fucking drunk cunt. C word. I tried to say C word. I forgot because you know why? I wasn't allowed to say that on this podcast. But on my other podcast about hip hop, Bad Habits, go check it out. Subscribe. We say the C word like crazy people. It's so liberating because here I'm not allowed to do that and I have to be responsible. But for you, because you're my friend and we talk shit all the time, it's very easy for me to slip up. But that's okay. It's at the end of the episode. Only so many people are going to make it through. So, 2 hours and 36 minutes.
Left at this point.
There's no one left. Well, there's 3 people tuned in live right now. I don't know who the hell that is, but
it's kind of scary.
Shouts to you. We're almost done this beer. This beer is like, honestly, bro, this is probably beer of the night.
Amazing. I've already finished it.
I've already finished it? You want to do the Cinquième Barreau? or we don't have to because I'm pretty toast.
I'm pretty toast too.
Well, that's okay. We already took the thumbnail with those 3. I just really thought this is nothing. This is 7%, 6.5, and like, this one was actually 6.6, I think. Yeah, actually, that's probably a little more than I thought. That's actually not bad. We did well.
Yeah, we did okay.
It's pretty good. I'm super satisfied, man. But like for real though, like I'm really, really happy you're doing the rebrand. I feel like it's like a whole new vibe about what you're doing. I think it's exciting. It's a whole new chapter for you, and like sometimes it really helps to have that refresh. Oh, Dan is in the building. Dan, you fucking legend. He's like, shout out to the real one still tuned in. So Dan is a mad dog. So Dan,
the guy lives in your building.
Yes, it's Tiffany's cousin. He works for High Season.
I saw him on your blind tasting episode.
Yes. Dan is a G. I'm teaching him as much as possible about beer. So Dan is just loving his life right now because he gets to work. He used to be here every day when he lived somewhere else because he had to come and work from here. And then we got him in the building and all this month. So he's only been there a couple of weeks. It's only mid-October. And he's loving it because we're setting him up, helping him set up his furniture and stuff. And he's just loving life because he can like work all the time. Like he's editing the BAOS videos right now with me and Nate. We did one called Drink This, Not That. We did a series. So he edited the second episode of that. He's like, I'm teaching him about beer. I got PR got me a crowler of the latest smoothie sour. We talk about that a lot from Messorem. One with like, I don't know, I think it's like peach, fucking guava, blackberry and shit. So I'm going to split that with him. I was going to do it tonight, but maybe tonight. Probably tomorrow because I might be too drunk. He's like living my best life. I'm just like, it's great. I just love seeing him enjoy it, and it's good because like now we're in red alert. It'd be really hard if he lived somewhere else. He wouldn't be able to do anything, but he's in the building. He's safe, and
let's do it.
You want to do it? You're a thug. Tiffany, Alexis, do you mind getting me the beer he just held up? He's going to hold it up there in a second. It's a purple one. It's a Senki. Here you go. He's going to pull it up. Look at it. Wait, he's going to do it. It's delayed. Wait, you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, you saw it? Okay.
Was it? It was that delayed?
It's still, and you're pulling it up now. You just put it in front. What time is that? Probably 10, 15 seconds?
At least like almost 20 seconds.
Thanks, Keaton. You're welcome. So this is our good mates at Sankiem Baron. This is a Berliner Weiss with framboise. Oh, shit. Dan's like, do it. Dan's like, don't be a pussy. Do it. I like your attitude, Daniel. Dan, what are you drinking? I gave him a bunch of beers to keep in his fridge, like extras. And whenever he's up here, I usually just like... I try not to make him drink all the time. So whenever he's up here, I was like... Sometimes I just drink by myself and don't give it to him. Because I was like... I'm not trying to like pollute his brain too much and get him to be a drunk like us. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, Dan, come on, I got some shit for you. But it's good because you know what I learned? He's funny. He learned that he loves sours. So I have a whole bunch of small pony that I never get to drink because, as you know, you can't fucking drink a small pony to yourself.
No, it's too hard.
So now I'm like, all right, Dan, I'm busting out. I'll put them in the fridge, and it's good because he splits all the big stuff with me. Oh, look at that. Sorry, I'm nearly finished. So Sankia Baron is the brewery that we've been talking about all episode that Noah's doing his collab with. When does your collab come out, dude?
Early November.
Early November. When do we get our cans, you bastard?
Not good.
When do we get them?
I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to get my can.
Christoph. Fucking Christoph. You better send him. Kick me in the dick.
It's pretty low. This is only 4%.
Yeah, it's pretty exactly. So we're finishing off soft things, you know? I'm going to put them in the fancy Hill Farmstead glass.
Sexy.
Do you know what's funny, Noah? This year, how many times... I've been to... I actually know how many times I've been to Vermont because I had to count it for my citizenship.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was 12 times. And we only went to Hill Farmstead in March, first time. And do you know what happened? We left the camera at the hotel. Pissed. Because all we give a fuck about is taking 5 pictures, and it was beautiful. It wasn't that busy. It was one of those like freezing cold winter days, but like blue skies. So mad people. There was a whole bunch of dickheads wearing Messorem shirts sitting on the fucking patio, of course, because you know the hype boys. Yeah, those fuckheads. And like I had the fucking I bought some Mary to go, and I bought this, and I bought the Brat de Soigné, the collab with Luke from Godspeed. So I bought the etched glasses. These they weren't even that expensive, like $12 each, but they're so beautiful. Like I only use these for like the big dogs, and I thought it would be good for the Joy Fontaine because it's like fire.
For sure.
Dan's like, I've run out, but I'll come up, make a special guest appearance on the podcast, and crush something. Dan, come through, fam. Oh, actually, Tiff doesn't have pants on. Who wears pants? That's what I always say, Dan. I'm like, Dan, if you're coming up, like, let us know because we ain't got pants on. Pants are overrated. But yeah, this is a like Sankiem are doing some really good stuff, man. Like this is the Berlin. Look at that. It's nice and like I said, it's not smoothie. Look, you can see through that liquid. So you can see through that shit. Yeah. Tell me about it, Noah. Tell me about this one.
It's
red.
Super juicy and pretty round considering how low the alcohol is on it.
Yeah, it's only 4%. I was surprised at how good this one is.
Like it doesn't come off watery at all for that low of ABV.
No, not at all. Nice and like I like that it's barely see-through, not in like a haze kind of way, but just usually means that it's got like a fair chunk of fruit going on, which I appreciate. Why did my Do Not Disturb come off?
After 12 a.m. it comes off.
Oh, you bitch. Not you.
I assumed.
I would never call you that. No, man, I'm super impressed with it. This was from the last batch, I think, when I did the 3 a.m. drop to you or whatever the fuck it was, a midnight drop. That was so funny.
Appreciate it.
So we did, no, man, least I could do. We had a, this was what, like July, August something?
Yeah.
I think it was August. And I went to see, that was the day we went to Sankiem. And I saw Chris. And I had beers for everybody because I had our collab with L'Espace Public finally. So I wanted to make sure I got. So I gave beer to Chris for him and Nate. And then he had beer for me and you from Sankiem. So I got that. And then you had beer for me. And then I had beer for you. So then I took that, drove from like Ottawa down to where you are, and you were asleep because you have an early morning, you have kids, and you got an early kind of schedule, which is a little bit opposite to mine. So we were trying to, because I hadn't seen you in person. I still haven't seen you in person this year, I don't think.
Probably not.
Probably not. So we were like,
maybe in early.
Maybe.
January,
we used to do coffee shop runs when you were working, and we used to do like just meetups at coffee shops and just have like a half hour long hangout.
We might have in
I think we did actually. Yeah, that makes sense. But then we, so I was hoping to hang, but we didn't get able, like the little distance chat at least, even if it's not a beer. But you had all this stuff. It's just really funny because it's so funny that you can do it and it's safe, but like just leaving all the beers in like a bag out the front. And I'm like, cool. And I put a little cardboard case out the front of all your beers. Boom, thank you, sir. Boom, boom. It's very funny, but it worked out.
They were good too.
Did you try the Les Bus collab?
Yes, it was great.
I'm really happy. The first out of their facility. Yeah, they did a really good job with that. I was very proud.
They have a facility now?
Yeah, bros. They have a production facility like 5 minutes down the road.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
I only went in briefly. Simon wasn't there. He was on vacay the week I went and picked him up, which was that same day, actually. I went and picked him up that day. I met one of their other partners because they have like 5 partners. So I only know him and Frank, and then they have the mayor. I think his name is Pierre, and he's the mayor of Hochelaga. Yes. And they have 2 other partners.
He was the guy who always brought me beer.
Oh, really? The mayor was bringing you beer? That's pretty gangster.
Well, he wasn't the mayor at the time.
He was just a bloke.
He's actually like super chill and down to earth.
He's pretty cool.
Right. He wasn't very, like he clearly has social skills, but he didn't have a mayor vibe. That's
right. He was chill.
That's why I was kind of excited to see that he was running for mayor, because he just seemed like such a legit dude.
Right. It always doesn't make sense that he's running for mayor. But yeah, they got this whole huge facility, kind of similar to Overhops, from what I could tell. Like, I went in briefly. I didn't stay long. It was my first time in a public place aside from a supermarket during COVID, so I was a little nervous. They kind of went in, met the dude. Everyone spoke super French and shit, because Val wasn't there either, who was my other contact. So I had to go and go, hi, I'm the dude for the collab. And luckily Simo, he's a fucking legend, marked the beer, so I was able to get it. But yeah, it was really cool. It was the first batch they did. They got a local dude to make the marmalade and stuff, so I'm really happy for them. And I think it's really doing good, because now instead of brewing out of Hochelaga, they're the second brewery that I know of, at least to, start their third, if you think of so the Overhop, Avant-Garde, the Spas, who have gone from contracting. Maybe they'll probably still contract some stuff to keep the cans going, because I know that Overhop were doing that, keeping some stuff out of there and then slowly moving it across. Yeah, so
who's left contracting there?
I imagine, I don't know if Matera. I mean, Voxpop is owned by them now. They got, I guess Transbrew are doing a lot of the distro stuff, more so than anything else. I feel like they're getting a lot of distro clients with Trailway, Two Crows, blah, 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 all that shit. Like, they're doing a lot of stuff.
I was emailing with Dan today, and I was asking him how the sales were in Quebec, and he was saying that at first...
Trailway?
Yeah, they were killing, but now it's gone down substantially.
What are you...
So he's trying to figuring out why that's happening.
Okay, I'm going to be... I don't know how honest should I be publicly. Because I've heard stories. That, like, look, think about it like this. I'm not going to say anything specific, but, like, I'm just typing in this beer. I've had this before. I've already read it. Berlin Berry. There you go. If you think about it, right? If you're a Transbrew, you're owned by Glutenberg Group, who own Glutenberg, obviously Vox Pop, and the Hochelaga brands. When they're out, and this is unfortunately for them, I guess, being confirmed by a sales rep of theirs, that when they're out in a circumstance where they're selling beer, and have you ever seen the Transbrew list before?
Like the
PDF, where they overlay the sales sheet. So I've had that sent to me a few times before. It's like 5-6 pages, small print. It's fucking deep. Imagine you are an IGA, and you're the beer buyer, and you are not a craft person. You're like,
right,
what the fuck is all this? And you'd be like, what do I need? What do you think they're going to say?
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to, from what I understand. So I think they would do well in the specialty beer stores. Quebec also does have a very strong buy local kind of mentality.
Yeah, that's what he was saying too.
I've seen them around.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. I think the thing about Quebec that I've appreciated recently, and I want to sort of flip that around for Transbrew, I think it's really dope that they've given a platform for breweries like Trailway, Two Crows, Bench in Ontario, so on and so forth, Collective Arts, I think they go through them, to be able to have distribution out here. You know, even if maybe it's a little tougher to sort of get them up because maybe Collective need their own salespeople. Maybe they need one person, two people with their feet on the ground, knocking on doors, making sure that people understand it, because it's kind of hard to rely on just the Transbrew reps to be able to do it all for you, because if you see how many brands they have to sell, it's absurd. It's fucking absurd. I can't imagine. I can say, you know, if I was them, I would probably be like, oh, fucking just buy my shit, bro. Here's a Gutenberg, here's some Vox Pop, here's some Ushlag, boom, boom, boom. And then get a few of these extras. Like, I get it, but yeah, I remember I was at Virtu and Biette, there's one close to here. They had Trailway. I was like, sick. I was really happy to see it. Really happy to see that shit. So, I mean, I think it's just...
Yeah, they have it at my local spot, too.
Good. Right. And the Trailway, as we both know, are exceptional. Like, I even saved... I really... Like, I'm taking care of my brother. I sent him, like, 4 cans of Trailway the other day that I had... That I'd already taken... I'd had a bunch of times, and I'd taken photos. So I was, like, letting him do some new photos of them and stuff, and... He had a couple of them. He was losing his mind. He was loving it. Oh, hang on. There you go. What is that? Oh, a sticker. Oh, I got the sticker. Yeah. Yeah, man. I
love huge hops. Thanks. Oh, huge on hops. IPAs in the country.
Yep, same. I am such a huge fan of Trailway. Such a huge fan. I'm genuinely on. I love it when Dan laces us with stuff. I'm more than happy. I want to promote all this shit. I've done 1-minute reviews for all their shit, for everything they have. Like, I love what they do. So
they've been doing it for a long fucking time.
As far as doing high level haze, well, yeah. And I want to make sure. I think it's really dope, and I think it's important. I love that we're supporting local here in Quebec, but I also think it's important to, you know, maybe just let people see what else. Just on the peripheral, it's not like we're getting a bunch of shit from Vancouver. I mean, you can get Granville Island, but that's macro essentially. You know, you can get some Bench. Bench do exceptional sours. They do some crazy shit, and they're getting like the Simcoe Grove and Citra Grove and some of the fruited sours and stuff. Their food age sours are out of control. Like Mark, who's an Aussie bloke who he left now, but he started that program. Their food, they have like 14 fooders and a full funk side of the brewery. It's out of control. They got 200 and something barrels. Like, they're fucking going nuts. And I really think it's super dope to have that, to have Collective Arts, which is such a solid brewery, doing some interesting stuff. And, you know, people like Trailway from New Brunswick and Two Crows from Halifax and shit. I love that. I think it's great for the Quebec scene because I feel like we're not overwhelmed with outside stuff here, but we get a little sprinkle. So it's not taking away from homegrown. It's, you know... It's contributing to the overall beer picture and giving it some cohesiveness to it, letting people see what else there is. Because I think it's important to support local, you know, if you want to, but you want to see what else is popping in Canada. And I think that is a really cool way to do that.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's better than drinking some macro stuff owned by, you know, Molson Coors or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're not from Quebec, but they're from one province over, or like 2 provinces over. And like, it's not foreign, you know?
No, exactly. And it's. I think it helps grow the beer scene because I think it helps get Quebec into. I think we all need to have a little bit of the other provinces in our own province. It can't just be like you look around, you can only see what's happening in Quebec here. I think that's very myopic and very one-track minded. I think Ontario gets the best of it because the LCBO brings in a bunch of stuff. They always have some GDCL. They always have some Unibrew even. Like, they have some shit. They have now Vox Popper out there. Loop hit us all up the other day. Loop are getting into the LCBO. Shit like that. I think that's dope because that's dope for them.
sending you their new spirit. I saw that they're doing a gin or a spirit of some sort.
No, I think
you should get with them on that.
Yeah, Tiff needs to talk to them about the spirits, I think, because Loop are doing some cool shit. They do kombucha and juices. I think everything that Loop is doing is fascinating. It's fascinating. I think it's great.
Isn't it all like repurposed bread or something?
Don't know for sure, but
I thought they took like they went to restaurants that were like tossing stale bread and then they used that in the mash or something like that. That's
certainly a thing. I was talking to my brother about that tonight, to be honest, because he was canning a beer. He works for Aveling in Toronto, and they were canning a Hefeweizen today that was made with a twice baked bread thing that was like that. So that's definitely a thing, but it could be for Loop. I think
that's what their whole thing is about.
I wouldn't be surprised. But they do milkshake IPAs. I've seen them in the supermarket. They do, because I was saying to them when they were wanting to just send us the stuff they're doing in Ontario. I'm like, well, I'm in Montreal.
They're doing stuff in Ontario?
Yeah, they reached out to me and Nate. So Nate hit me up and was like, yo, they just sent me this stuff. I'm like, yo, yeah, man, get that shit. Do a little blog post. Fuck yeah. And they hit me up like 5 minutes later. And I was like, yo, well, I'm in Montreal. I have like kind of 50-50. Obviously, there's in the States and Australia as well. But like Toronto and Montreal are our main two audiences. So I was like, we're here in Montreal. I know you guys do some milkshake IPAs and stuff like that. We're like, all right, cool. Right now we're just promoting the Toronto, the Ontario shit. I'm like, all right, well. Man's is Team Lactose out here. So, make that happen, fam. Make it happen. Make it happen.
Right, come on.
What the fuck you hit me up for? Not sending me lactose, bro. Jesus Christ.
It in his fucking face.
The fuck I'm saying. But yeah, no, I think it's cool. So I think it's really important that all the provinces get to experience what else is there, because at the end of the day, if you want to make it, I mean, you could make it Montreal, you could make it Sherbrooke beer, you can make it Quebec beer, you can make it Ontario, but like make it Canadian beer. Like, I don't see why we can't support the whole thing, and I don't see that like, oh, if Ontario can ship to Quebec breweries are going to lose a whole bunch of money. I don't really think so, because people are still proud of what they got. But I think variety is a spice of life. And why do you think beer regions are popular? Is because people want to go to a bit of everything. Port Moody in BC, just outside of Vancouver there, have Yellow Dog, Twin Sails, Moody Ales, and Parkside. There's 4 breweries right in a row, and it's called Brewery Row. And people go and they spend the whole day there. Why do you think people go to Messorem, then they go to Four Origins, and they probably go to Saint-Taverne, and they probably go into Brewski? Because it's all this southern like area thing. If they come into Milan, they're going to go to Judiciel, Cibois, Bira, fucking Harricana. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all there. Like, breweries in one area are not competitors. They create something. And breweries know that shit. So I don't see why that, like, bringing in something like Trailway or other different stuff here in Quebec, it helps the rest. Quebecers need to go out and see the other stuff as well. And then also, maybe that means Quebec breweries will go into New Brunswick, if they aren't already, and be able to get New Brunswick folks to come over the border if they're allowed to because of the Atlantic bubble and get that stuff. So I just find it's like, or at least get it, locally. Like, I don't know. I think that's the secret to growing Canadian beer as a whole. I think regionalizing it and trying to kind of trap it all in and be like, no outside is very like short-sighted. I don't think that's the move.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why. I mean, it was exciting when BAOS came into Quebec a few years ago.
I remember that vividly, with the Le Coeur Noir, which was. Do you know who that was? That was a homebrew competition. Do you know who won that homebrew competition? Jordan Reinhard from Reinhard Brewing in Toronto.
Really?
Yeah. Told me. I didn't know. That was the first one. It was the black IPA, only available here. Small world. There you go. Bit of fun fact. Fun facts here on Beer.
Let's get that in with Craig.
Yeah, fucking dickheads. Yeah. No, that was a good fucking time, bro. BAOS opened the... BAOS opened the...
Got so close there.
You like that? I guess we've had more beers. 12:21? Jesus fucking Christ.
A 3-hour
podcast. I said to Tiff, I was like, we're going to talk tonight, bro. It's like we had dinner before.
We need to eat dinner first because it'll be 8 hours.
I said, talking to Noah, I'm like, I'm not going to really have much of a filter on this one tonight. I'm going to be like, let this go where it goes. Sorry, guys, who are still watching. But, I'm not sorry. We're giving you content. This is content right here.
Lots of content.
This is gold. This is craft beer gold, Noah Jeffrey Forrest.
Yep.
We got everyone's middle names the other day. Nathan has 2 middle names. It's pretty gangster. And Chris didn't have any. He was a little upset about it. But it's okay. You don't need to have 2 names. You know?
Yeah. Yours is Bruce?
Fucking Bruce. And Nate was Philippe Joseph. And I thought yours was Joseph. And his second name was Joseph.
Yeah.
So Chris can have Joseph.
Nathan.
Fuck it. And Dan,
give it to him.
Right?
You can just have it.
Just have it. Dan, what's your middle name, Dan? Tell me what your middle name is. It's a beautiful thing. Well, I mean, I guess, have we given him enough content?
I think we've given him enough content.
Did we give enough content? I feel like you're drunk enough, you drunk bastard. Noah Jeffrey Forrest, where can everyone find you online, sir?
Beerism.ca.
Yeah.
Or Beerism on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else.
It's actually Beerism.ca on Instagram. And it's Beerism1 on Twitter.
How do you know this and I don't even know
this? Because I tag you fairly regularly, you dickhead.
Thank you, pal.
You're welcome, man. Pleasure. Where could people find the glassware and the fucking collab and all that? I got the burps.
The glassware, I'm pretty sure, is only going to be available at the 5e Baron Brewery.
Okay.
Probably in about a month.
Nice. Is
but
that when the beer's coming?
All of that.
Is the beer in about a month? Like November?
Yeah, I think something like November 11th-ish.
Oh, cool. All right. Good bit of time. Sick. I'm excited for that, man. Really excited. I think it's going to be great. And the art that you sent was very cool. So proud of you. I think it's great. I love the new branding. I love the new direction. I think it's sick. I think it's a great way to kick it off with glassware and a collab, a new website, and just freshen it up and just come out here and dominate and be the fucking god level beer fucking champion you are, you know? I appreciate you. No matter how much we make fun of each other online all day, I still love you, all right?
I love you too.
You're the god. I appreciate you. Guys, make sure you follow Noah. If you enjoyed this episode, if you made it 3 hours and 48 seconds in, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast and check out the long form audio, Apple Podcast, Spotify, fucking everywhere you get a goddamn podcast. You're going to see it. You're going to see pretty. You're not going to see shit. You're going to listen to pretty people like Noah. You're going to hope he's pretty because you're not going to know what he sounds like. And you're going to be like, oh, I wonder if he's hot. And you're going to look and when you see the video, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, he's hot. Isn't that right, Tiff? Yeah, you hear me. All right, that's it, guys.
I can't. It's delayed.
In her underwear.
Oh, it's delayed. She can't even hear it. She's not actually in underwear at all. But we'll see you guys in the next episode. Fucking get it in. You stay on the line, Noah. All right, boom. So live people, Dan, tell me what your middle name is later. Mate, you're a mad dog. You know, we're still live. We haven't stopped the live yet. We got the thumbnail, dude, so that's good. So maybe we should stop the live. Maybe we should. All right, live counts. Bye.